right now or is going to be watching in the future, like a recreation of this stream, we've started about 5 minutes earlier than we planned to make sure we don't have any hangups. So
Yeah, I had lots of technical difficulties, so it's if it screws up, it's all on me because I'm really not that great at this stuff. So
it's hard, like all of these things, like everything I've found in my author career where you're like, oh yeah, make a website or design this thing. It should be easy. And then next thing you know, it's like 10 hours or 3 days. And then you're like,
yeah,
oh, this is really hard.
I don't know. I've just been having issues with technical stuff yesterday. I mean, not yesterday, but just recently. Like yesterday, I was supposed to be playing Dungeons and Dragons with some friends on Fantasy Ground, and we
Oh,
tried 2 hours to get Fantasy Ground to work. It took us 2 hours to get this software to work. It was horrible.
oh no. Have you tried? I've not tried Fantasy Ground. Me and my friends are playing a game called Monster of the Week via Roll20.
I actually just saw it yesterday. It was recommended to me. I haven't played on it yet though. But it looks pretty cool. It looks pretty similar to Fantasy Grounds. It was the
Okay.
first time I'd ever used Fantasy Grounds
Yeah.
yesterday, but it looks similar. How do you like Roll20?
It's pretty good. So it comes with a voice chat feature, but we just do Discord. So we do Discord, and then we have Roll20 basically for rolling dice and character sheets and stuff, and
Yeah,
drawing.
okay.
And there's like a little map which our DM doesn't really use. Like there's like a grid where you can draw pictures and stuff on. So it's mostly just inappropriate drawings.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah. Like at one point, I thought about sharing it in my author group page, but then actually, I like second guessed myself. I was like, actually, this is pretty terrible.
You're like, I don't want anybody knowing that I do this.
So yeah. Let me just. I have stuff flashing here on my Facebook. Blah blah blah. Oh yeah. Hey, look, this is so cool. So I can see that we've gone live via my Facebook. So it says Realm Between is now live. Okay, so
Okay, cool. I'm not even looking at mine yet. I probably should be, just in
well,
case, just in
well, I've
case.
noticed when I've gone live on like on my phone, I can't see. Like I think when your page is live, it's like you're
Hmm.
like unless you have like another dummy account or something. I don't know if it'll see that. Uh,
Yeah, well, I can actually see it, but of course everything is lagged as it usually is when
mm.
you're doing streams. So
So I have a question for you and the Dungeons and Dragons you were trying to do yesterday. Do you
hmm.
normally play D&D with these people, or do you feel like in lockdown has finally brought the gang together to play?
I actually, and I might get some a little bit of flack for this, but I actually hate not playing games like that live. But I was finally like, you know what? I've been playing Call of Cthulhu via Zoom with the
Mm,
friends that I used to play with in person for the past few weeks, and that's worked out pretty well. So I've only ever been a dungeon master for Dungeons and Dragons, and one of my friends was having a game, so he was like, "Hey, we'll jump in with my friends and play." And so I did, and I still prefer doing it in person.
yeah.
Of course, there's a little bit of a learning curve with those programs, especially if you're using the maps and stuff. But I had made my character going in thinking that I was going to actually get to like play a character that I had made, and then they couldn't. We had so many issues with it that they couldn't put in my character stats and stuff. So I got rolled a pre-made, and I'm not super experienced with it yet. So I was like,
Okay.
oh shit! Like I had like all these spells already like picked out, and I didn't know what any of my new spells did, and it was a little bit stressful. But we're supposed to do it again next Tuesday, so I'm hoping I'll be a little more
Oh yeah.
familiar with.
That sounds awesome. Yeah, what I found is because you're doing it over the internet, really only one person can talk at a time. But the party does get split at times, and I do feel like if I were playing in person, I don't know, maybe me and like the other people I'm with, we could like have like banter or something in
Yeah.
character that could be happening as something else is happening elsewhere. And yeah, it
Well,
almost
I
feels
also
like
think
yeah. Say what you're
I was
saying.
gonna say I also think when playing in person too, there is like a lot of times when people will just stop and talk. So sometimes it takes the game a little bit further to progress because people will just chat. Not always in character chatting, but it's
Yeah.
always fun when people do get in character. Tell me more about that game you're playing right now.
So
I'm always up for new games.
so this game I'm really liking. So it's called Monster of the Week. So it's sort of like rather than a fantasy realm that you're role playing in, you're playing in a sort of like Buffy the Vampire Slayer style universe, or X-Files style universe, or Supernatural style universe, or Stranger Things style universe. So I'm playing with a bunch of British people, so it's set in an English rural village, and supernatural things are happening, and we're investigating them, and discovering stuff. Yeah. I play a 45-year-old accountant named Jerry. I'm a
Nice.
mundane, so I'm the equivalent of like Xander, which I don't know. That's what I look forward to week now in quarantine, is playing as this, middle-aged dude.
Hilarious.
Yeah, and I had like a whole array of amazing people I could have chosen, like like ancient monk dude, or like spell slinger, and I was like, oh no, let's play a normal dude.
Nice. Nice. But
Um,
no, I feel you, because D&D, like when you play a spellcaster, there's like so much you have to keep up with. I don't know if in the game that you're playing it's like that, but it's it's a lot to keep up with, and it gets overwhelming really quickly. So I actually was trying to play, as since it was my first time actually like playing as a character. I was playing as a fighter, but we were playing level 5, and I ended up with a bunch of spells, and I was like, oh no.
oh wow,
So
is
like
that
I knew like two out of like the 6 spells I had, so I was just like, I'm just gonna stick with these for the hour we got to play, which wasn't that long.
oh wow, so are you playing fifth edition?
Yes,
And
yeah, it's the only one I've played.
is the spell
Hmm?
stuff even difficult in that as well? Because I hear fifth edition is a little bit more streamlined, a little bit more accessible, from what I've been told, compared to like 3.5, where I hear it was really fiddly.
Yeah, 5e is the only one I've ever played,
Mm,
but I think there are a lot of spells that do a lot of weird things. And like there was a bard in our group yesterday, and he was like doing his bard things, whatever they do to the other one of our, I think, the cleric of the group, and he's just like,
mm.
I cast this on you, or I do this, and the guy just knew, because these guys had all played before. And I'm like, I hope he doesn't do anything for me, even to help me, because I have no idea what in the hell any of this stuff is. So,
Oh wow.
but yeah, it's just
Oh,
it's a lot. It's a lot, but I like it. It's a humongous learning curve, I feel like, for sure.
oh,
But
oh, cool. All right, so it's 10 o'clock now. So should we? This has been the unofficial preamble edition. So if you're watching live right now, but now I'd say we officially begin. And so,
yes.
Phoenix, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, as most of you guys probably know, because you're on my page, I am Phoenix Gray, author of The Realm Between, and I just released Neverending Dungeon this Friday, so that was like super exciting, and that's about it. So you're up, Jacob.
Yeah. Hey, everyone. Here on the Realm Between page, I'm Jakob Tanner, fellow lit RPG author. My series is called Arcane Kingdom Online, and yeah, book 5 of my series just launched on Thursday this week as well. It's called The Siege, and if you've never read any of my work, right now I have books 1 to 4 on sale for 99 cents each. So you get the first 4 books for $4, and that's going till I think midnight tomorrow. So there's time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
super generous, and a great way to definitely check out the whole series.
um, yeah. No, it's been exciting. I mean, I hope people, because like lots of people have been picking up. Like I can see on my that people are picking up like the first 4 altogether. So I hope they read through them. I know with sales, people say that people don't necessarily always read through, but it'll be really exciting to get a bunch of new people reading my work. So.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I wish I would have done that with my series, but thought about it a little too late.
No, like, book one, as I've seen, book 1 of the Realm Between, The Curse, is also on sale right now for 99 cents. And so, great way to dive in there as well, so.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
All
So
right. So, I think me and Phoenix, since we launched on the same week, I think we're gonna interview each other and just talk about cool stuff. So, and I think because Phoenix is actually hosting right now, you can see if anybody asks any questions. So I don't know. Let me know if anybody does. I don't know. But should we begin? Who wants to field the first question?
um, I can go ahead and ask you first. I'm not seeing any questions on Facebook yet. This is a new thing that we're using. We're actually on Be Live, so comments are supposed to pop up if you guys leave them here in a chat that we're watching. But I'm also checking Facebook every once in a while. So if you ask a question and I don't catch it right away, it might be because it's not popping up right when we're able to see it. So all right, Jacob, when did you first learn about lit RPG, and how did you learn about it?
So I guess for me, it was I think a lot of people's first book, which is like probably one of the few traditionally published lit RPG, if you want to include it as lit RPG, which is Ready Player One. And I just remember loving it. And I had sort of not played video games for like a year almost. And just, I don't know, I had other things going on and I was trying to sort of taking a break. And I read Ready Player One, and it just, I don't know, it was just like made me feel like this was the best video game ever, and like I was on this like journey, and that whole power fantasy of going from like stuck on this education planet with this amazing game out there, and then sort of rising through and discovering the mysteries. It absolutely blew me away. And the 80s references people always talk about that book for. I mean, I like them. I laughed, but like I could take it or leave it. I just like the sort of video game adventure. And so, yes, that's my answer. Phoenix, so I'll throw it back to you. Oh wait, what were you saying?
Well, before I go into that, so Runout has joined us, and they want to know, they asked how it was, but what I specifically want to know is how did the book Ready Player One compare to the movie? Do you think the movie did it justice at all?
So I mean, on the one hand, I didn't love the movie. Like, I didn't love the movie anywhere near as much as I loved the book. And I feel like because of that, it was like, so as I was saying, I love the power fantasy element of it and the, going from zero to hero. And if you see the movie, he's a bit scrappy, but he's actually doing okay at the beginning of Ready Player One, the movie. So that sort of thrill of going from nothing to the best wasn't really there. That said, I mean, Steven Spielberg directed it. He knows how to make good action sequences. And even though, like, have you seen it, Phoenix?
I've seen the movie. I wasn't a big fan of it, if I'm being honest. I haven't read the book.
So like, I know a lot of people complain about like the solution of like driving backwards during that race, which you're kind of like, wow, how come no one else thought of that? And I completely agree with that. But then on the other hand, that's a cool action scene though, like with all the stuff that's going on. Like, go back and watch that scene and you're like, okay, the solution is dumb, but this is like a pretty impressive like spectacle.
Yeah, it was definitely very actiony.
And I honestly, like, I feel like I cried at the end of it. Like, I felt like, I don't know why. I just feel like, I don't know, it's just like they hit the right buttons there at the end, and I just was like crying. And I was like, I don't know why. But I was just so happy, that it, like, I don't know, Steven Spielberg just like pushed my catharsis button. And I was just like, yeah, I'm happy it all worked out.
That's great. Yeah, for me, I hadn't a fellow. Well, actually, the person who was doing my Facebook advertising told me about lit RPG, and he introduced me to Travis Bagwell's Awaken Online, and so I read a bit of that, and I play video games, and I really like the concept of being able to put them into books. So that's kind of what turned me on, how I learned about it. I read a little bit more before I actually started writing it because I like the difference to see the different kind of tropes in lit RPG. But then once I figured out I could meld fantasy with video games, I was pretty much convinced that that's what I wanted to write. So it was good stuff. Good stuff.
Oh, sick. Yeah, no, Awaken Online and The Land were early ones for me as well. And it's just like the land, it just like hits those dopamine hits so much. It's like, awesome loot, level up, new spell, thing, and you're like, oh, yeah.
Yes, I do love The Land. That's still really high up there for me.
So all right. And then, okay, so shall we move on to the next question?
Yes, I believe we should. Are you gonna ask, or do you want me?
How should we do? Should we go back and forth? So like you, I don't know. What's the least confusing way to do it? Should I just ask because you answered and then maybe I, or no, yeah, but yeah, you would ask because then you just. Okay,
yeah,
all right,
I'll just go ahead and I'll ask. Yeah, well, we're getting through this, guys. Just bear with us.
Real
please.
professional interviewers. Like, can you imagine if you like turned on like Jimmy Fallon or something? He was like, "Do you ask the questions? Or do I ask?"
Yeah, sorry guys, I'm an awkward turtle. It's gonna be this way. So, and if I keep looking I noticed I keep looking in one direction. It's because my camera isn't really centered. So,
Oh, cool.
when I'm looking in like the opposite direction of where you're at, your screen is actually at for me.
So I could just see two people commenting. I can see Run Out and Nate. Just want to say what's up to you guys. Happy you guys are watching. Happy you guys are commenting.
Yes, I do love skill trees. So Jacob, who is your favorite character in your series and why?
Okay, so for the first two books, it was kind of like a toss up between the main character, who's kind of like a version of me, I guess, like young guy, but like idealistic hero dude who like always does the right thing, always stands up for good and justice and stuff, and so I kind of like that. Like I like this guy, but then on the other hand, there's a guy, his like sidekick friend is an NPC who's like also like a cat man. He's like
the cat guy.
Cat man, and he's like a drunk, gambling, mischievous guy who's always cracking jokes and having fun. And so I really, really like him too. So I probably like lean towards him more than the idealistic guy, like whatever, screw that guy. But then in my third book, I introduced right near the end this sort of pathologically optimistic ghost spirit named Chip. And so he's kind of now entered the ring for people who are like competing for my favorite.
Nice.
How about you, Phoenix? Who's your favorite character in your series?
I think every author wants their main character to be their favorite, but I'm kind of the same way. So definitely Azure, when I wrote him, who's the main character in my series, I wanted him to be like a regular everyday guy. So I didn't want him to go into this world like, ready to fight monsters because he thinks they're like real. So he's a little bit scared of them. But my favorite character is actually Udin, who is a half imp. And he is, when he first gets introduced into the series, you don't know if he's good or evil. And for anybody who hasn't read through the whole series yet, it's going to be a little spoilery. But yeah, he's a very trickster character because he's half monster. So he has a lot of things that he does that are in his nature that are really bad things that he shouldn't be doing. And somehow everybody around him keeps tolerating him despite the fact that he keeps doing these really evil things. But I like him because I think he's more of the humor in the series, because the series gets pretty serious a lot of times, and he kind of breaks that up. So he's definitely my favorite. I just introduced a new character in this last book who is probably going to end up being pretty up there with my favorite too. So that's kind of exciting for me. I'm writing this new character.
Oh, yeah, that's exciting. Ooh.
So who's your favorite character in someone else's lit RPG series and why?
Okay, so I cheated. I have two answers for this. So I really like Montana, the main character of Eric Uglin's The Good Guys series. So the first one of that's One More Last Time. And so what I love about Montana is that, okay, so like my main character, and I think a lot of lit RPG main characters, like, I don't know, I was like, you're always psyched about them making like, the best, most skilled, interesting class character, like rare class, doing cool stuff. Whereas Montana is literally this guy who, and I feel like it fits closer to my real life gaming experience, who just like picks up a sword and puts all of his stats into strength.
Nice.
and then just starts like, wreaking havoc everywhere. So I really like him. And then another character I was thinking about, I just read it a couple of months ago, was Cameron Milan's Towers of Heaven. And there's a great side character in there named Olivia. And I mean, I can't remember all the details, but I just remember, I don't know, she just oozed intrigue and mystery. And you're like, oh, what's her like family background and like what's happening here? and it's everything you want in a really good side character. So yeah, those are two characters who come to mind. How about you, Phoenix?
Um,
What? Who are your
for me,
favorite? Yeah.
for me, it's definitely going to be Ban from the Land. And I think it's because he's perverted, he's mysterious, he's got this little bit of a dark side, a little bit of mischievous side. But I've found him to probably be my favorite so far of everything that I've read. But going back to Eric Uglin, he definitely writes some entertaining things. I remember one of the first things that I saw in a forum that I was like, this guy's got to be awesome. Is I think he came up with something called like a dwarf chair as like a weapon.
Yeah.
And one of the things I
So
was
it's
like,
like
that's
they're like in the middle of a fight, and I think he like picks up this dwarf in a chair, and then the stat for that comes up like you have equipped dwarf chair, and then
yeah.
swing it around. Um, I think honestly that might be in one of like if any passage has gone viral within the lit RPG community, I feel like dwarf chair might actually be one of them.
Yeah, you definitely don't forget about that once you see it. I was like, wow, that is hilarious. But Runout asks, has the quarantine affected your writing? And Jacob, you can answer that first.
So it's very interesting that you asked that. Yeah, I mean, so um, the quarantine started, the lockdown started, and I was in the middle of editing mode, and so I had to like think through new routines, but I got it done, and now so starting next week, I'm really gonna start focusing on writing the next book in my series, and yeah, I'm gonna have to once again figure out how do I do these routines and stuff. It's a bit weird. I found that like because I have a part-time job normally at a bookstore, and all for the last like year and a half, I've been like, oh, if only I wasn't at the bookstore, I'd have more time to write. And now I feel like the world has been like, oh yeah, you want time to
Yeah,
write? Now you
yeah,
can write, but you can do nothing else, and it's like this cursed time almost. How
yeah.
are you
No,
finding it?
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It's been hard. You would think, like you said, that when you're home all the time, you have more time for writing, but there's so many other things going on right now. When I was still writing the end of Neverending Dungeon, whenever the quarantine started,
Mm,
and my boyfriend had to work from home too, and he's got a phone job, and just adjusting to that was a little bit difficult because I'm like the type of person I need complete silence to write.
okay.
So yeah, we're in a two-bedroom apartment, so that was a little challenging at first. We've worked it out where it's fine now, but then also, not being able to go out as much and all the social distancing, it does take a toll on a person's mental well-being and psychological well-being. So I think initially kind of fighting through depression because I also, if I'm not able to put my mind in the right place, I can't write. So, and this isn't meant to be a woe is me. I know every single person out there right now stuck in this quarantine is going through this, but
Mm.
it is definitely affected my writing. I was writing a lot more slowly, but thankfully I've gotten into a routine now and I'm pretty much used to it. So I'm writing the seventh book in the series right now, and it's going pretty okay. But but yeah, just stuck inside all the time now, just like everybody else, for sure, for sure.
And the thing about writing is, right, like it's just it is kind of like you need to manipulate your mind and emotional state and mental state so that you can keep doing it and like get into that zone. And so when things throw a curveball, like what's happening now, it is kind of weird to, how do I reorient my brain now?
Yeah, it's pretty much it's just adapting. It's just like anything else that it throws an immense amount of pressure on you. It's adapting and working through it.
Yeah.
So let's see. Okay, this is a good one, and I actually had this going on today. When you write about food in your books, does it make you want to eat?
Yes, and there's a lot of cooking that goes on in my book, but weirdly, like some of it's kind of like if you just like write it down, you're like, is that appetizing? I don't know. So one of the things in my book is that like if you like defeat a monster, like let's say rat creatures or like a fox or whatever, if you like make stuff out of their materials, like crafting materials, that will create buffs against those creatures. So if you're like a ranger and you like kill a bear, and then you take create like points, like sharpened points out of like bear bone, that will actually have buffs against the bear. And likewise, if you make food, you'll have buffs against those creatures as well. So if you had like cooked bear meats, that'll give you like plus 15% damage against bears. So early on, one of the first things he fights are these scary talking rat creature like guys, and so he kills them, and then he goes on his way, and he needs to get like new gear. This is all in book 1, and so he actually makes rat creature stew, which he starts selling to people to make money. And everyone's like, this is delicious and incredible. And so now a running joke with some of my readers is if I go to a restaurant, I ask if they have rat creature.
Nice.
But definitely, like when I've read like I think of the early Game of Thrones books, like some of those meals they have like in like the medieval castles, you're like, this is tasty, man. This seems good.
Yeah, that definitely the Game of Thrones stuff. I just always remember the lemon cakes. I remember them talking about the lemon cakes in the books, and then of course in the show. And I hate lemon, but I wanted one of those anyway.
I remember like candied apples and stuff they had, or just like like glazed meats and stuff. You're like, oh yeah, like I could go for this.
Making you hungry. Yeah, generally speaking, anytime I write about food, I tend to get hungry. This morning I was writing about Azure having like eggs and a biscuit, and this biscuit was like so super dry, but it still made me want biscuits. So yeah, pretty much anytime I write about eating or drinking or anything like that, I'm like, ooh, that would be good right now. But nope, got to keep writing. So
you're making me realize at a craft level, like my character should eat some more normal stuff every once in a while, because all they eat is bizarre and crap now. So like in the most recent one, they eat unicorn bats, which are unicorn heads with like bat wings.
Nice. That's more creative though, so I think that's even better. And it doesn't make you hungry, so
yeah, but like on the one hand, you're like, yeah, it's delicious, the unicorn bat meat, but you're like imagining it in your head, and you're like, I don't know. Whereas like if you're like eggs and bacon, I can like immediately think in my mind like, yeah, I really like those things.
Yeah, I do use the word supped a lot too, which I'm trying to back away from.
Supped? When did you use supped?
When they're having dinner sometimes. I'm just
okay, cool. Yeah, supped. Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah, it's not some like weird sup.
No, I thought you said it right now in the recording, and I was like, wait, am I watching?
You're like awkwardly, you're like, sup, I've been here for 30 minutes now.
Yeah, exactly.
So, what's your favorite video game of all time?
So again, I'm cheating and have like loads of answers. So Skyrim, I really love. Like, I just love the like elegance of Skyrim, and that you can sort of pick it up and play it at any time. Like, there's not that much. Like, if you like look at a Skyrim screenshot, right? Like, there's not that much UI going on, and I just really like that. So I love Skyrim, and I played like sunk so many hours into that. In terms of MMO, my favorite's probably Guild Wars 2 is probably the MMO I played the most of.
That's a good one.
And for that one, I really liked sort of, compared to like the other like tab targeting ones, this one has like more like dodge rolls and stuff, so it's slightly more dynamic combat, which I really appreciated. And then I also really like The Last of Us, which I just like. I think that's probably the most compelling video game story I ever played through. And then finally my like the true honest hipster answer that I had, but then I was like, oh, I don't know if anyone's gonna go for this. Is this game that came out on the PlayStation 1 called Tomba. Have you ever heard of this? About a pig-haired barbarian who like fights like evil pigs. Look it up. It's like super bizarre. It's like this sort of like early side-scroller RPG game. Yeah, it's neat. I don't know. How about you? What's your favorite video game of all time? And feel free to give more than one answer, as I have.
No, I'd have to say my favorite one is Chrono Cross, which I've heard Chrono Trigger is better, but I've never played Chrono Trigger, and I don't think I could force myself to go back and play it now, which sounds kind of sad, but
Does Well, so it's interesting that you bring up Chrono Trigger because so during lockdown I've been playing Dragon Quest XI, which I'm pretty sure the writer of Dragon Quest XI was like one of the co-writers of Chrono Trigger and potentially maybe secretly the actual main writer from what I hear. Uh, and I'm loving Dragon Quest XI right now. So I was actually thinking when I beat that, I might go and figure out how I can play Chrono. Like it's on a million different systems now, and then maybe trying Chrono Trigger.
Yeah, I've heard Dragon Quest is really good. I've heard Xenosaga is really good. I think I actually owned Xenosaga at one time, but I never played it. I used to. I have this bad habit of. I still do it today. Like whenever Steam has a sale, I'll buy like a million games and then I'll play like one and then I'll never touch the other ones. It's horrible. I have like all 3 of the Witcher games and I have never played a single one, and I've had them for years, which is really bad.
Well, the thing I've been doing with Dragon Quest is I've been playing it like half an hour before bed. It's like, and that's what I've actually like. I did a bunch of reading and research about it, and supposedly that's how a lot of Japanese people play it. Is what I've like, just like because a lot of like non-gamers play it in Japan, from what I hear, and it's sort of treated as like a fairy tale bedtime story, and it's like really chill, and it's like a nice way to like thing to do before bed, and you're like, oh yeah.
I usually try to read before bed, but I don't know. I'm busy pretty much up to the time I go to bed. So if I'm lucky if I get to read anything. But yeah, for MMOs, I would have to say Final Fantasy 14 is my favorite, just because there's so much to do. And I mean, I've played all the other ones. I've played WoW. I played Guild Wars. I betaed Guild Wars 2. Which the thing that I really like about Guild Wars is that you can hire the NPCs to like be your party instead of having to form a party, which is bad because it's an MMO. But I'm like very like solo player-y type person. But I like.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna ask, did you do a Final Fantasy 14 solo?
I have been doing it mostly solo, unless I actually have to go into a dungeon. I pretty much solo it. But my main isn't that high. I think my main's only like level like 30 or something. But my crafting ones are like a lot higher because I like crafting. So I just like craft, and it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad, the addiction. And I like selling stuff. I get so excited whenever anything sells. I'll like go to my retainer and sell my stuff. But it's silly.
I got really addicted in Guild Wars 2 for a little while, like going to this website to figure out like basically like a stock like read the stock market of the marketplace in Guild Wars 2 to like make stuff and then sell it so I can make like a little bit more money. And like I spent like a few days literally just like playing the stock market of Guild Wars 2 to make like a little bit more gold. And then, like, I don't know. I think I stopped playing shortly after that. Like, I moved on to a different game after that because I was just like, "What am I doing?"
It's so much dedication. But
when you get invested, you're like, "Yeah, like I need more gold. Like I need this."
Yeah, it's funny because somebody had when I first started playing Final Fantasy, somebody had given me like 80,000 gil, and I was like, oh man, I'm rich. And then like I learned how to like craft, and I was like, oh man, this was like no money whatsoever. I could like make so much more crafting stuff. And but yeah, I get the money and then I never spend it. So I'm like this little like dwarf hoarder or something of like my gold coins. I'm like, no.
It's all about acquiring that stuff. You want that big number. Like I don't like. Why would I want to make that big number smaller?
Exactly. I'm like, oh, what am I even gonna spend this on? I'm wearing like the shitty like whatever armor I have made and just like whatever stuff I get from quests. So I'm like, I could probably buy some really awesome armor, but nope, not gonna do it.
Were you ever in the game and people are like, hey, like where's that armor? And you're like, actually, I made it.
No, I'm not that far along yet. But...
Yeah.
That's too funny though. So
you gotta hustle in the game, man.
Pretty much make that money and then just don't spend it.
Yeah.
So kind of segueing off that, if you could be stuck inside of any video game, which one would you choose?
So I thought this was a very interesting question, and basically I tried to think what would be the most like pleasurable and comfortable game to like live in, I guess. Like one like I don't know if I'd want to live in Skyrim. Like it looks kind of cold and like there's scary monsters and bandits everywhere. Uh and like so I was thinking maybe like Harvest Moon or Stardew Valley and just in the farm and like hanging out. Yeah, like if anyone's played Stardew Valley, there are some traumatic episodes. Like you do go to a dance very early on in the game, and no one will dance with you, and it's really depressing. But like after that hump, it's like it's all up from there. So.
Oh my lord. If I was stuck in Stardew Valley, I'd be like spending all my time in the mine because I'm like I've just got to like do something besides farming, and I got to be like killing things with my pickaxe or my little sword.
Mine spooks me. I find the mine so spooky. I'm like, what's going? Why is the mine here?
Oh, I think that's my favorite part. I never finished it, but I got pretty far with it. Yeah, that's definitely a safer one. I'm probably gonna have to go with Final Fantasy 14 again because if you're in a safe zone, nothing's gonna kill you, and there's a whole lot of stuff to do. So,
That's
I kind of like that.
It's pretty chill. Like that's the thing about Final Fantasy 14. I didn't dedicate as much time into Final Fantasy 14 as I would have liked. But the world is. I think it is kind of in some ways my ideal MMO world. Like I just like that fantasy JRPG aesthetic.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like I could feel safe there, but I could do something if I wanted to. So,
You know what?
and I wouldn't have to farm.
Yeah, that's what we thinking with my plan. I'm like, am I actually gonna like farming for the rest of my life? Like, I don't know. Maybe I won't. Like, I have like pretty small hands. Like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm cut out for that kind of thing. But oh, I was just thinking about Final Fantasy 14. I played it on my PS4, and I think if I played it on a comp, I would have liked it a lot more because it's kind of hard to play on your PS4 because there's all this. It's an MMO, so there's all these fiddly bits, and it's like kind of hard to access. I don't know. I'm just thinking off the top of my head right now.
Yeah. Oh man. So sorry, I got a little mixed up in my questions. What's your favorite fighting style in a video game, or your favorite things about video games? Do you like skill trees, first-person shooters? What's your thing?
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah. I mean, I guess I generally like all games. But I was thinking sort of like in terms of MMOs, I'm usually like either mage DPS, like dealing all the damage, or I'm like big tank guy. I've not taken the time to be a good support player, which might say that I'm actually like deep down a terrible person. I don't know. But that is like maybe one of my current gaming goals is to play a healer character. Because I think it's a totally different game if you do that. And from what I hear, it can be like a ton of fun.
Yeah, I also usually play like DPS and type of magic caster. Anything that can have a familiar, I will usually like. And in Final Fantasy 14, I play an Arcanist. But outside of MMOs, I really like skill trees a lot, which was mentioned earlier in the comments. I'm pretty big on skill trees. I like statistical or strategic turn-based RPGs like Disgaea. I probably just said that wrong. La Pucelle Tactics. Final Fantasy Tactics I never played, but I really enjoy that grid style of fighting a whole lot.
One of my favorite games of all time, I think, Final Fantasy Tactics. Like I would argue, maybe my favorite. Like competes for my favorite Final Fantasy, maybe. Which is
Really?
big take. But I don't know. I feel like if you speak to like I don't know if anyone in the call like wants to come in and like I don't know say anything about it. I feel like because I'm in a couple of Final Fantasy groups, I feel like of all the spin-off Final Fantasy games, I think if anyone I think everyone would say that Final Fantasy Tactics deserves like a numbered title the most out of any of the spin-off ones.
Yeah, most people loved Final Fantasy Tactics. I think I played it for a little bit, and then I don't remember why I stopped playing it. But yeah, it's like that. I really like. Have you played the new Final Fantasy VII remake?
No, I've not. Well, it just. I mean, I should. I got really like when it was building up. Like I watched all the reviews and I was super hyped and I was chatting with people about it. But I've also like started like 4 or 5 different games right now, so I'm like waiting a little bit and then maybe I'll go get it. How about you? Have you tried it?
I have not. I'm just I'm apprehensive. Everybody says it's great, but I don't know. I'm just apprehensive to do it. I'm scared I'm going to play it and I'm going to be disappointed. But
Yeah,
everybody says I won't be, so.
that's true. Like, so during all of the hype, it kind of made me think, oh, would I rather just go back and play the original Final Fantasy VII? That's kind of what I was thinking as well. Yeah, I don't know, because that was probably the first RPG I completed, and was one of my favorites. Was
Yeah, actually, I think that's the first one that I ever beat was Final Fantasy VII, and then I was hooked. It was just like,
yeah,
it was like video game crack. I was like, oh my god, this is the best thing I've ever seen.
I was so young at the time that when, like, spoiler alert, one of the characters dies, I didn't believe it. I was like, no way are they dead. They're coming back. And then I beat the game, and I was like, oh, I guess not. I guess they're not coming back.
Yeah, I cried.
Yeah, so like hard lessons learned for me during that game.
It's like, sometimes they don't come back.
Yeah. This isn't a little kid's story. People die.
Jeez. So, kind of going back to Skyrim, have you played it in VR at all?
I've not. I've not played any. I've not tried any of the sort of, I guess, cutting edge VR stuff that you can do right now. I had a friend recently who before the lockdown, went to I think like a warehouse or some kind of like place where like you get a really cool VR headset and you like actually walk around in the environment. It sounded really cool. But the only VR I've tried has been like this crappy cardboard box thing that I put my phone in, and like I was riding on like a dinosaur, and it was pretty amusing for like 10 minutes, but then you're also like, I don't know. It was kind of like, do you remember being a little kid and like going to a 3D movie and it was like those red and blue goggles? And like you're a little kid, you're like, oh my gosh, this is going to be the best thing ever, 3D. And then you put it on and you're like, all right. I guess.
I loved that when I was a kid. I still kind of like 3D movies. VR, the way it is now, at least VR, I get vertigo really easily. In fact, I got vertigo right before we started recording this, just from looking at my keyboard wrong or something. God. But yeah, those VR headsets, they give me vertigo like really bad. I can't even watch people like when I watch Markiplier sometimes, and I can't even like watch him play those games. It's too jerky. It makes me sick. But what do you said you've only played with your phone, so you haven't played with any of the headsets that are out at all?
No, I've not done Oculus Rift, and then I hear the PlayStation VR is supposed to be quite cool, I hear. And like a couple of video game podcasts I've listened to like mentioned a couple of games that were pretty neat or something. I don't know, but no, I've not had a chance.
So I was going to ask you what you think of the state of VR right now, but I'm sure you are not impressed if you're going through your phone.
Well, yeah, no. I mean, yeah, like, my cardboard box thing was, that was my cutting edge answer,
Yeah, I don't know. I think they definitely need to make it more like our books for me to actually enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, so I kind of feel like, yeah, I mean, so I think that goes into the next question, which is, do you think technology will reach the level of VR immersion that's in our books within our lifetime? Yeah, Phoenix.
Definitely not. I don't think it's something we'll see in our lifetime. I wish it would be. I mean, they've made a lot of advancements in it, but I definitely don't see that. Everybody's not going to want to do microchips and not helmets. I don't think helmets are going to be able to access your brain to the points where it can actually like put you into video games. Probably, I don't know, maybe like 100 years in the future or 200 years in the future, but not while we're still ticking, I wouldn't think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, because I was thinking like with the current climate right now with social distancing, maybe like, really like an intense level like Second Life VR is like needed more than ever, and that will like push people to like get it done. Also, I'm just seeing in the chat here, Nate, I think he must be referring to the virtual reality game on the dinosaur I was talking about because he says you literally played the same VR game on the phone my little 4-year-old cousin did. I highly recommend modern VR stuff. Yeah, agreed. I gotta put more effort into my VR.
Yeah, my first VR experience was with the phone. I didn't think it was horrible, but then when I put the headset on, I was like, wow, this is definitely better. And then 5 minutes later, I was like, this is better, but I'm about to throw up.
Like how much better? Like so much better? Like
oh yeah, it's so much better.
yeah, okay, I got it. I mean, so basically when like I don't know, when I started like writing and stuff and my first book did pretty well, like the first thing I got was like a PlayStation 4. Like that was my upgrade. And now I'm always contemplating like am I ready to jump and get a Switch? Do I want to get a VR thing? But these distractions, you have to be careful though.
Yeah, and those VR headsets are really expensive. They're really expensive.
I see some like at shopping malls. Like I walk by and I'll see like I don't know. Again, maybe these are crappy ones. I don't know, but I'll see they look kind of high tech, like little VR stations. I don't know. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about, where you can like go and like pay to play for a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So maybe I mean honestly, like that doesn't sound like the kind of thing I would do in my normal life, but I'm like so starved to leave my house and do something that I'm like, yeah, like first weekend out, let's go do that.
Yeah, it's funny. Runout says, I was always told to get back away from the TV. Now they wear it on their face. And I thought the same exact thing whenever the VR with the glasses, whenever put your phone in your glasses was became a thing. I was like, man, everybody's like, when we grew up, we were growing up, all of our parents would get mad at us for being too close to TV. And now we like have a screen like literally right here. I don't know how much research they've done on what that actually does to your eyes. I'm probably not a whole lot, but
yeah. I mean, I think there's like I don't know, like maybe this is an urban legend, I don't know, like but just like even carrying like your phone in your pocket like day in and day out, like how good is that for your health? Maybe. I don't know. I'm no scientist, so like you start asking me about science and stuff, like I don't know, like I'm just gonna start making up magic stuff to explain things.
yeah. A lot of stuff like that too. A lot of times they don't know until like years and years later. So we probably won't know for many more years.
But I guess like before the lockdown, I would think maybe in my head, like augmented reality would be the thing that would be more likely. Like a really cool augmented reality would come first. But now with like everyone's distancing, let's go.
Yeah.
Well,
and then you also have to think of how augmented reality has done so far. Like Pokemon Go, do you play it? Have you played it?
I played a little bit. I like didn't get into it. Basically, I just didn't have like I was just being kind of frugal at the time. Like I didn't have the data on my phone. And I was just being like, so,
let me tell you, I turn off the augmented reality feature when I play. So because they have a feature where you can like you use it and you can see your Pokemon wherever it's at, like sitting on your table or whatever. And I'm like, nope, I want to see that background that the artist did for me. It just looks. I can't make it. I can't make myself feel like it's actually there. So I'd rather just see the.
Oh no, that was the best part. That was my favorite part about Pokemon. So like little kids would come into the bookstore, and they'd be like hunting down some Pokemon in there. And I'd be like, "Yo, you kids gotta let me see. You need to let me watch this. You need to let me watch this." And it was so exciting because it would be like a table of books, and then like a little, I don't know, like Squirtle or like Starmie or something like hanging out on the table. You're like, "This is so cool."
It's probably a lot more entertaining when they actually have it somewhere cool. I'm just like, oh, it's on my desk. I'm like, eh.
Yeah,
get off my desk. I don't have much room to begin with.
Yeah, fair enough. Like, oh, great, another Pokemon on the bus.
Yeah. So, what's been your favorite thing to do during quarantine?
That's a very good question. Yeah, I mean, I guess my favorite thing has been, it has been like, I don't know. I like not having to go into my part-time job, I guess. Like, it's given me more time to write like sort of, and then it's been nice to I've been doing more Facebook Live events like this, so it's been really exciting to, I don't know, just to chat with you, Phoenix, and then chat with all of these readers and stuff. Like, that's really exciting. So that's been a favorite thing, and just yeah, I don't know, catching up on reading, watching a lot of TV. I'll take any TV recommends if anybody has any. Um, yeah, I just finished The Boys on Amazon Prime, which I really liked.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, that one was good. I think they are supposed to be making a sequel. They definitely left it open for a sequel.
yeah, no, I think so. I think the first thing I did, I finished it a couple days ago, and there's a season 2 teaser trailer that you can watch.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet. I'll have to go
But the
look.
cliffhanger at the end of that, like, I don't know, like, it's a good cliffhanger, but I'm like, that changes a lot of stuff. I don't know where it goes from there.
Yeah, it gets kind of dark. Oh, it
it's
gets really dark, really dark. For me, it would definitely be playing Call of Cthulhu, because I wasn't playing it regularly before, so now just playing that over. We've been using Zoom. I look forward to that every week. I think that would probably be my favorite thing. Still being able to connect with people in some capacity, I think, is super super important. I was very reluctant to do it at first because I'm kind of technology averse when it comes to stuff like that. But I'm really glad that I started doing it because I don't know how I would have survived without being able to do that.
honestly, so like first week of lockdown, I was like, I don't need to talk to anybody. I'm fine. Like I need to like just focus on my work. And then like week 2 depression kicked in, and I was like, okay, if I want to stay, productive and like keep like track of my mental health, I need to take like, my virtual social life very seriously. Um, and so I really like started reaching out to as many people. I was like, you want to play Call of Duty Warzone? I can play that with you, man. Want to play Destiny 2? I can play that too.
You're like, if there's a game, I will play it. I don't care if it's something I don't like, I will play it.
Yeah, yeah, no, pretty much. Because I mean, Call of Duty isn't real. Like, I like Destiny 2 because it reminds me of Halo, and I like that more alien style stuff. Whereas like super gritty, like World War kind of stuff, I'm a bit like, oh, like I'll play it. I've been having a good time with it, but it's not my like immediate go-to choice. But I
Yeah.
just can't be choosing. I need friends.
Yeah, it's definitely been a thing. Definitely made me learn a lot of technology, and yeah, I've reconnected with a lot of people that I hadn't talked to in a really long time. Just because it's good to reconnect with people in general, and also because you're like wondering what everyone else is doing to kind of get through all this.
I mean, that has been one of the cool things is that I've connected with a bunch of old friends and stuff, and that's been really nice. And that's like the weirdest thing about the moment we're living in. It's just like everybody I know. Like if I go on my Facebook feed, I see lit RPG authors talking about this pandemic. I see acquaintances from like who knows when talking about this pandemic. It's so weird the way it's unifying everybody, like the whole everyone I know.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Everybody, there's not a single person who is not talking about it. It's
mm,
definitely affecting all of us. So,
yeah,
um,
definitely. After week 1, I definitely started limiting the news intake. I started doing just like, oh well, I'll check it once a day, but it's like I don't know. You can go down a deep dark space if you just keep reading stuff, and you're like, oh.
yeah, I think the first like week or two I was up on the news pretty hard, and then now it's like whatever I see on Facebook or whatever my mom tells me. Otherwise, I don't really like try to look it up. First, I was looking at the counts to see how they're rising in my area because you want to know like is it safe to go to the grocery store? But
Yeah,
after a while, you're just like, the whole country's kind of the whole world's kind of screwed right now. So you just kind
yeah.
of got to deal with it. Just know that it's out there whenever you go out there, and that you're
Yeah,
stuck inside.
I mean, what are you doing? Like, so I know. So I was kind of shocked. I was speaking to some friends who were like, "We're only going out." Who said to me, "We're only going out once a week." And I was like, "Oh wow!" Like, I definitely still go out like every day. Like, I need to go out for a walk. Like I need to. And I take my hand sanitizer with me. I don't touch anything, but I stay away from anyone. Anyone walks near me, I like walk away from them. And like, but I gotta get out of the house. Yeah, I don't know how are you doing with it?
Yeah, pretty shortly after they announced the lockdown, I did start going out for walks every day, which I had never done before, especially like around my. Cause we live in an apartment complex, so There's a park right across the street, though, which I've been wanting to go to, and that finally motivated me to go to it. So I've definitely been doing that more.
Did you
But yeah,
see people at the park?
yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, the parks are packed. They
It's
actually had to,
crazy. Like, like the park is like a party. And you're like, I don't think it should be. Like, what's going on here?
yeah. Anybody who would have been at the gym is at the park now. So
Yeah.
they're packed all the time. They actually closed the park down for Easter because they were worried that it was going to get crowded with too many people, and it
Wow.
probably would have been. So
Yeah.
smart on their part to do that. But yeah, they're packed pretty much all the time, and I think it's the only place now where, at least here in the city that I live in, where you don't have to wear a mask when you go out. One of the very few places, because now they've issued a law where if they catch you out without a mask, they fine you like $1,000 or something crazy like that. So
Oh my God. Okay. Yeah. So, see, this is news to me. I thought you only had to wear a mask if you were sick. But then I guess we don't
no,
know if you're asymptomatic, so that's why you have to wear a mask. All right. Sorry, everybody. Okay. Just,
yeah.
I'm a
As
moron.
soon as that order went into place, it sounds really, I don't want to say irresponsible, but as soon as that order went into place, I was like, I am staying home because, I mean, I have a mask, but that thing is so uncomfortable to wear. So now I'm
Hmm.
like ordering all my food in and not getting out as much as unless I absolutely have to. But that's probably better because people don't really need to be going out into all these public places anyway. I
Yeah.
mean, that's what they've been trying to stop all along.
I was like cooking really well at the beginning, being like, "Oh man, I'm gonna be the best chef while I'm locked down." And maybe it's just that it's launch. Like we're both like, I don't know if you're like this with launching a book, but I'm like just super stressed, and all I want to do is be at the computer, and like everything else, like I want it to be as fast as possible. So it's been like a real oven pizza heavy week. uh, and I don't know if you've had a similar experience at all, or like you're just like gotta eat my salads, like keep my mental health well, which would probably be good for me. But
Uh, uh, to answer your question right now, I'm in Texas, and Jacob is in the UK, correct?
yeah, I'm in London right now, so but I am originally from Canada. If you're wondering about my accent, and uh, I don't know, like London's like gigantic, so it's like I feel like everyone who goes outside is only going outside for like their daily mandatory, like they're only allowed to leave the house once, and yeah, everyone's doing that one trip out, but it's like I don't know, within the proximity of like my area, I'm sure there's over 100,000, if not more, people around me, and if everybody goes and does that, you still sort of see people around. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's strange, and I don't know what it's like in. You said, is it Texas?
Yeah,
Where's
I'm in San Antonio,
okay?
Texas.
So I don't. So right now we're having like the most beautiful days in London, like blue, clear sky, sunny days, which maybe happens 2 or 3 weeks a year in the summertime, and so you're kind of like looking out at it. And you're like, this is very disappointing. Like I want to be able to like maximize my funness in this beautiful weather, and I can't.
Yeah, it's funny because even at the park we went because it was a really pretty day, and me and my boyfriend went walking at the park, and there were so many people there, like a lot of people on bikes. That it was kind of a little bit miserable. It was like there was just so many people that it was hard to like walk. These trails are pretty packed with people,
Yeah,
but
I guess like, look, I think everyone needs to get out of the house. Like, like I don't want to tell people to not leave the house, but I did like I was walking and I saw people nearby having like a party, and you're a bit like, mate, I'm not having a party. Like I totally want to have a party. I want to see my friends, but I'm not, and so you're like, but what can you do?
yeah, no, I feel you. Going back to the eating healthy thing, though, actually, this launch has been super stressful just because of everything going on and how it's affecting the publishing industry. But my stress was the weeks before because I wanted a day off so bad, and I was trying to push the book out a week early. 'Cause originally, I was supposed to release it like a week later, but I was like, I just want to get this book finished and get it out early. And that week was definitely more of a takeout week. But the launch week, I've been eating healthy, trying to get back on healthy habits because definitely I'm being stuck inside again, having to adapt. Definitely makes you kind of lose the healthy habits you had. It's easy to just fall into the thing where you're ordering food all the time. You're not working out. I hadn't worked out for like a whole month up until maybe like a few days ago, and holy crap, I'm so out of shape now. It's horrible. It is horrible. But yeah, I think it's important for everybody to get back to healthy habits. And after your book launch, stress goes away. After the book launch, stress.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. So, I mean, I'm like definitely out of shape. The thing that I started instituting, because the thing is like, I don't know, I don't really like exercising that much. Like, but I was like, okay, I got to do it. So I wanted to minimize it. So about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I started doing like high intensity interval training. So that's like 2-minute jog, 20-second sprint, 2-minute jog, 20-second sprint. You do that for 10, 15 minutes and you feel like destroyed after, but then you're done. And then you're like, all right. And so that's what I've been doing. I've been taking it really slow. I've only been actually doing it once a week, which I'm sure if you guys are like really into your like gym fitness stuff, like that sounds pretty like weak sauce. But my mentality is that I got to start small with like a very easy attainable goal so that I can make it consistent. Every other, I always go through phases where I'll go super hard at the gym and I'll do that for like a month and then I'll be done for like 6 months. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to run for 10 minutes once a week. How can I say no to that? And then I will build from there. That's my strategy. Wish me luck, guys.
Yes, best of luck for that. I'm just hoping that I actually like stick to mine too, because it's hard. And once you get off track, that I feel like that's the end of it. It's so hard to like, you're like, man, I forgot what not doing anything was like. This is great. Why would I want to work out more?
Yeah, but then the thing is, when you do get back into the habit, you go, oh, I feel so great. And then like every part of your life is like better. Like I just feel better. I wake up better, I'm just happier and nicer to everyone around me, like the quality of life benefits are so good. It's weird that like you have such a pushback in your brain to not do it.
Yeah, I think it's just one of those things, like once you get over that appreciation of how great it's made your life, then you're just like you said, once you get like about a month into it, you're just like,
I think it's when it takes like a little bit more effort to get that sort of like endorphin rush or whatever. That's usually where I fall off. I'm like, oh, what? I have to run for 15 minutes now? Like, nah.
Yeah, I was trying to do P90X for a while, and those workouts take forever. I think like some days I was working out like an hour and a half, and so much. I was like, you know what? For the first few days, I was like, yeah, this is great. But I think after like a week, I was like, man, this is a whole lot of time to get into good shape. And nope, that was a hard no after that.
You want to be able to incorporate it into your life, but it's like what I learned too was like the most important thing right now for me is like doing my writing. And so I like if every day you have like a finite amount of willpower points, I want to spend as much of my willpower points on writing. And I found that like if I go for a jog first thing in the morning, as much as it has benefits, I'm like spending a bit of that willpower points. So that I sit down for writing, I'm like, well, I already ran. Like, why do I have to do this?
I see like the stat screen pop up in the morning here. You're like, allocate.
Yeah. We're getting a bunch of comments in here. So I just see Nate was asking for a recap of The Boys at the end. I don't know how to say it without spoiling it, but I guess like the relationship between like the Superman guy and the British dude, that is sort of like in the last scene, I think really flipped on its head. And you're like, oh, interesting. Yeah.
So how about a blurb on your books, Jacob?
Say that again?
So Brian is saying he has read all of my books and he's loved them, which I appreciate greatly. And he wants a blurb on yours.
Sorry. Yeah. Oh, hello, Brian. Cool. I didn't see the bottom part, so I just saw love, like read all the Rub Between books, and I was waiting for Phoenix to be like, thank you. Yeah. So my series is called Arcane Kingdom Online. So book 1, it's about this guy named Clay. He's guys, and so this gets really weird because it's super prescient to write now. He's dying of this like virus called the Zero virus, and he only has 24 hours to live. And if he doesn't get like, and then after 24 hours, not only does he die, he turns into like a flesh-eating zombie. And so, he's got gotta figure out what he's gonna do. And so then his brother helps him, and he uploads his mind into online fantasy role playing game to escape the virus, and it goes from there. And loads of other people do the same thing, and then it's about him sort of just figuring out his new life in this digital world or virtual world, and yeah, and then you know, I don't want to give away, but you know, then things get more complicated in the game, and you know, exciting stuff. So yeah, I think
It's good stuff. Good stuff.
yeah. I've been worried slightly about because the intro does have all this virus stuff, and I do worry that like people might be like, that's not really what I want right now. But I will say, you know, after the first 2 chapters, that mostly is in the background, so it's mostly like happy fantasy shenanigans after that.
I wouldn't say that that's not what people want right now. I think I just saw I forgot the author, the exact title, but it definitely had quarantine in the title, and it was like one of the best-selling books right now. So I think people are reading like quarantine type things right now.
I think it goes both ways. I think like there's some people who are like, yeah, bring me the quarantine stuff, like Stephen King, The Stand. Let's go right now. And then other people who are like, you know.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
Yeah, like throw me a rom-com is what I want right now, you know.
I have heard that now that you say that, I have heard that. So when we are finally able to get out again, how do you feel about autonomous cars? Like, would you drive one?
So that's like those are cars that drive themselves, so I would just be sitting in it.
Yeah, like the Teslas.
So I mean, okay, terrible confession. So I don't know how to drive, so I guess maybe I would.
That'd be perfect.
Good. I guess because I grew up in a city, and then I moved to another city where like driving was even more complicated, and I just sort of relied on public transport. I'd like to drive because like I love Stephen King novels and stuff, and like whenever you read Stephen King novels, they're like always driving and doing stuff and on highways, and like I would, you know, I'd like to write, you know, something like that. You know, I like good car chase, and I feel like ill-equipped to do that now because I don't know how. I have had a few practice ones with my dad and stuff, so I have been behind the wheel, but no. So maybe autonomous cars would be really good for me. But then would you still need a driver's license to sit in one? I bet you would, because in case something went wrong, that's what I imagine. Yeah. So
yeah, you still would. You still would need a driver's license. I don't know. As someone who has driven all over the United States, I have driven from Texas to Maine and back, and I actually hate flying. I hate it. I get sick on planes. I get anxiety because I have fear of heights. So if I can drive there, if it's not, you know, over water, I'm gonna drive there. But I think I'm definitely ready for a car that drives itself. I want my next car to be a Tesla. I changed my mind. I wanted something else originally, but I do think I want to give the self-driving cars a try because yeah, I'm lazy now. These days I'm lazy. I've driven everywhere. I don't want to drive anywhere anymore.
Well, so like, how does that work then? So like can you just is it like your chauffeur then? Like, can you just like sit in the back and then it just drives for you? Like that sounds pretty nice.
No,
that level yet.
No, you have to be in the driver's seat. You have to have a license. And basically, I think what it is, I've never driven one. I wanted to test drive one, but I haven't done it yet. I think you just kind of like plug your destination into your GPS. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. And the car just kind of drives you, but you still have to be in the front seat just in case there's some error, which there shouldn't be. They're supposed to be better drivers than we are, but.
Yeah, like I feel like a whole bunch of plot elements of the movie I, Robot with like Will Smith hinge on like autonomous cars. Like, is this ringing a bell to you? Like, I think there's like a whole bunch of scenes with that going on, and like I think that's why Will Smith hates robots or something, because like the autonomous car like killed a bunch of people or something.
Oh my god, it's been so long since I've seen that movie. That's a good movie though.
Yeah, I remember really enjoying it. I just see Brian has just asked a follow-up question about my books. So yeah, the universe is it's sort of a fantasy universe, but it's slightly, I guess, higher, like it's not low tech, so it's sort of inspired by the Final Fantasy games as well as Guild Wars 2. So there are some like steampunky kind of airships floating around and stuff. So it's a cross between D&D and Final Fantasy is what I'd say. Yeah, definitely has like a fantasy feel, though, is what I would describe it as.
So let's talk about something that is pretty personal to authors. We'll actually split this one up. So how do good reviews make you feel? Like whenever you read a good review about your book or your series.
Oh man, they make me feel absolutely fantastic, you know? And actually something I've been doing recently, because as we were saying earlier, how writing is such like it's this like emotional mental marathon. I've started taking screenshots of reviews that are really nice, or like a really nice email from someone, and I put that. I have a little document now called Awesome Documents, and then I put that there. Or if like, so for instance, the newest book of mine hit the #1 new release in steampunk fiction, and so I took a screenshot of that and put that into the Awesome folder. Yeah. Oh wait, I just wanted to say one last thing to Brian, who's been asking questions about my series. If you're curious, book 1 is 99 cents right now, as well as books 1 to 4, if you wanted to know. So worth, you know, you want to check it out.
Yeah, pick it up for sure.
So yeah, I mean, okay, so you split the question up. So how do good? Because I feel like it's hard to talk about good reviews without talking about like their other cousin, right? So
yeah.
How do good reviews make you feel, Phoenix?
You can go ahead and answer the bad review just ones right away if you want.
Okay, well, I mean, yeah, I mean they can throw you off, and it's like, I don't know, it's hard because on like a rational point, like if you look at it from a consumer point of view, it's like, well, no, someone needs to like, you know, put their bad review up, so then I know, like, you know, I need that for like, you know, transparency or something. I don't know, and yeah, so it can kind of throw you off your game for the day if you let it. But I know that like when I'm looking, you know, in hindsight, I try and think, man, like this person read my book. About, you know, where I was 3 years ago, I was writing stories that no one read. You know, now occasionally someone reads them and gets really mad and tells me that they don't like them. Like I'd much rather be in this new position than the old position. So, you know, all right. So I try and, you know, but you know, like I'm also not a sociopath. So if someone tells me you suck, like I feel bad.
Yeah. That's a super positive way to look at it, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, what else are you gonna do? You know, like I try, you know.
Yeah, of course. For me, good reviews definitely make my days, especially like the detailed ones where they sound really excited and they like pick out everything that they really like about your book. Those definitely make my day. And bad reviews, bad reviews can have a really bad effect on authors sometimes. Yeah, I've had bad reviews bomb my entire day where I would not be able to write. But like you said, you really just need to look at it. And as long as you have more good reviews than bad reviews, you're doing good. But yeah, reviews are super important, and that's one thing I want to bring up to everybody who's watching this now and in the future is that reviews are super important to authors. They do sell books. Your opinion does matter. We read them. We take your feedback into consideration. So if you've read either one of our series, you know, mine or Jacob's, we would really, really appreciate it if you could leave reviews on the books that you did read, because it makes a big difference for us.
100%. Yeah, you know, yeah, like I think it helps authors like algorithmically on Amazon. I think like every time you get a good review, that just like sort of boosts it up in like the AI of Amazon goes, hey, people are liking this thing, and so that's super helpful. And then I honestly think it makes me write faster, you know, like, you know, a day where you're like, yeah, like I really like this, and this, and you need that renewed self-confidence sometimes. So no, it's great.
And those reviews that are like, when is the next book coming out? Those are good motivators too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, is there any skill in your books that your characters have that you'd like to learn? Something you don't know how to do?
So, I mean, okay, so there's a lot of really cool skills. Okay, I think there's some really cool skills in my book, you know, but I kind of actually really like the most basic one, which is my main character. He's like a mage guy, and he has like his fireball spell. But I really like, I don't know, just as I've been writing the books, the fireball spell seems to come in handy in so many different ways. I find I'm like, oh, they're like in a dark tunnel. He can light the way, like it's like a flashlight, and it's like, oh, we got unicorn bat meat or rat creatures. We gotta cook it up, and like we got the fireball spell, and so I've really like grown attached to it. So yeah, like I want to have a little fireball, and then if anyone like tried to like pick on me or something, I'd be like, hey man, I got the fireballs.
Jeez. Yeah. Yeah, magic is definitely like really cool. I think everybody would want to learn magic. On a more practical level, for me, I think I'd want to learn leatherworking. I always try to pick up these weird like crafty things. Every once in a while, I'll do something crafty. That one might eventually make it to my list. I did scale mail for a while.
That's cool.
I'd like to learn how to sew, but that to me, it has a big learning curve, and I have everything to do it, but I haven't started. Also buns and stuff. But I think leatherworking would be cool. Definitely cool to do.
Do you find like as like you develop weird hobbies out of sort of like research like things for like books and stuff like I kind of thought was like looking at like, do I want to take fencing lessons because like sword fighting is cool. I mean, I didn't do it, but I was like very much like scratching my chin, being like, maybe I should go to fencing class. and then I got undecided about like medieval weaponry fighting stuff. And that's a thing as well. So I was then I didn't know which one, and then I was like paralyzed.
Oh man, yeah, I have watched so many YouTube videos on sword fighting and stuff like that. Surprisingly though, most of the stuff, most of my crafty stuff I did even before I started writing this. I mean, I've done archery. I know how to make chain mail. I know how to make scale mail. But I don't know. I don't know about sword fighting. I don't know if that's something. It'd be cool to learn, but
I guess like it's not. I guess it's not something I'd want to do. Yeah, like I mean, it's something I'm like, oh, wouldn't that be a neat thing to do for a couple weeks, like a night class in sword fighting, and then that would add some like extra gritty realism work. Maybe is what I think.
Yeah, it'd definitely be good.
Watch a YouTube video, Jacob. Chill.
No, I think it'd be good to know, but I think it'd be one of those skills like I would go do it once and then I would never do it again. I'd take the lesson and then I'd be like, oh, that sword looks really cool, just like hanging out in the corner of my office for the next 10 years and me never picking it up again.
I mean, Brian is making a really good point, saying pointy end goes into the other person. So yeah, I mean, there you go.
I think that's really all you need to know to do someone in.
Yeah. Nate is asking us, what is your alignment, both of you, lawful good, neutral? Where do you think you come down on this, Phoenix?
I am definitely lawful good. I do not break the law, and I'd say I'm generally a good person. I'm not really too evil. You might think I'm evil if you read some of the stuff in my books, but but in person I'm definitely not evil.
Yeah, I mean, okay. So where would I come down on this? I don't know, maybe like I kind of just think like neutral. I don't know. So when I did if you guys are Harry Potter fans, I don't know if you did the Pottermore quiz, I got like Hufflepuff. So I feel like that's a pretty neutral like equivalent of like a Harry Potter house. So yeah, probably neutral. Maybe chaotic good. I don't know. I think I'm a good person. But yeah, I don't know. Like I don't know. I feel like I don't know, Phoenix. Like you're saying lawful good, but I feel like I don't know if you think like in my head when I think of the scheme of things, it's like we're both authors and novelists, and that's like that takes a bit of financial risk to pursue that, and things like that. And so I don't know. I don't like lawful good. It seems like the doctors of the world are lawful good, and I don't know. Like so that maybe I'm like chaotic good. I don't know.
Drinking does increase strength by 3% for 15 minutes.
It's important.
Yes. So our last question, and then we'll
gaining strength.
And then we'll go into Q&A for anybody else that has any more questions. Do you consider yourself introverted or extroverted, and why?
So for the longest time, I would describe myself as a pretend extrovert. So like, because I'm definitely like, I would never describe myself as shy. But I did find that I really like, and even now, like I appreciate my alone time. Like I like reading, I like playing video games, I like writing. I like just like being on my own and people leaving me alone. Uh, so yeah, so it kind of made me feel, and like if you look up definitions of introvert, because like a lot of people would like to think introvert like shy, quiet person, but that's not always the case. However, being in lockdown has made me go, maybe I am an extrovert because I do want to go hang out with my pals and, a little bit like, banging my head against the wall a little bit. So, I don't know, or maybe I'm like, someone was telling me the other day there's such a thing as an omnivert. So I don't know. How about you, Phoenix? Where do you come down on this, extrovert or introvert?
Yeah, it's a weird one for me because I would also say that I don't know, like it's strange for me because I host game nights at the local comic book store, and I've taken a leader role in a lot of things, which would make people think that I am a very extroverted, but I do get I feel like I'm kind of socially awkward at times for sure, and I do definitely socially drain. Like if I spend 4 days in a row hanging out with people, like on that fifth day, you better just leave me,
Yeah,
leave me in my cave alone.
yeah.
But yeah, I would say,
Yeah, it's like,
honestly, I'd probably say I'm more introverted than extroverted, but a lot of people think I'm extroverted because I can put myself out there. It's just really hard for me to do.
yeah. Well, see, this is the thing. I feel like I don't know, because I feel like I grew up, I was an only child, and so I feel like when I got to like elementary school, people had like learned like social lessons that I had not learned yet, and so I had to like learn them, and so I don't know, you had to push yourself to be out there, like more forthright in that way, and so yeah, like so that's why people might mistake me for like extroverted when it's just like, no, I just had like a delayed learning of how to socialize, and so that's why I'm just like, I don't know, try and put a first foot forward or something, when interacting with people.
So that's interesting because I am also an only child, and I grew up out in the sticks, and
Okay.
so my closest neighbor was that was my age, was about a quarter mile away.
Oh
So
wow. Okay.
I definitely would say I did not develop social skills until I was fully an adult and actually started going out to. There's this app called Meetup. I don't know if you've ever heard of it before.
That's how I joined my sorry, I had a little burp there, if anyone heard. I don't know if that transferred over. But kind of embarrassing. It was a burp of excitement. It was meetup.com is how I got into one of the board game clubs I was in. I was in a weekly, every Tuesday night, we'd go and play pretty like hardcore stuff, because the people who were in this group would buy all the latest stuff. So like stuff like Gloomhaven, maybe not exactly Gloomhaven, but like that cool Kickstarter board games you might see. And it was, really awesome. And so, yeah. So what have you done with Meetup?
I have ran several meetups. Ran two board game groups. So obviously I'm not doing it right now because of quarantine. But before that, that's pretty much how I would host at the comic book stores. And but before I started doing Meetup, I was like the biggest introvert you've ever seen. The first meetup I ever went to, I think I was like sitting there just like trembling like one of those small little dogs, because I was like,
oh no,
so not used to being around people. It was pretty sad, but I eventually made my way out of that. But
well, but that's like so good, because you like put yourself out there. And that's the thing, like, especially as adults, like I think if you're like dealing with little kids, they interact in their own little kid evil minds, and like you can't rely on them of how they're going to behave. But like as adults, I don't know. I think everyone just wants to be liked and go on with their day, and so I don't know. You put yourself out there and you're friendly. Usually, people are pretty friendly back.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's definitely easier as an adult. You can make friends with
Mm,
people you never would have thought you'd be friends with,
mm,
especially when you meet places like that and you learn you have common interests.
yeah. I mean, it's so funny that you say trembling because the first thing that I thought about when you said that was I started going after I joined this board game club. I started going to like some more competitive tournaments and stuff, particularly for this trading card game called Netrunner. And so I went to a tournament, and my first tournament, because I've never really done competitive sports or anything. So this is like
Mhm.
the most competitive thing I've ever done is go to this tournament. And I remember shaking, like holding the cards, like I could barely like put them down because just like the adrenaline of playing.
Yeah, well, that sounds like fun. I don't know if I could do that. I think that would probably make me a little too nervous.
It was one of those moments where you don't think you're like, oh yeah, I'll go to this tournament. I like this game. But it really was one of those moments where I felt very quickly out of my comfort zone where, like you entered the scene and there was just all these people who knew each other and went to like all the tournaments beforehand and like knew the game really well. So we're like
Yeah,
talking about the meta in a way that I really didn't understand. Um, but then that was kind of to my benefit because I was like playing in a very sort of odd noobish way, but like that no one was prepared for. So I did win a few games that way. It was pretty cool. But then they were all like mad at me. They were like, "That's not the meta, man." With that,
nice.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely think in social situations like putting yourself out there for the first time, having a game is a really good way to not be as nervous because you have something else to concentrate on. Whereas like the
Mm.
first time I went out to Meetup, I went out and had dinner with a group of people, and then
Oh
you're
yeah.
just kind of like sitting there like looking at each other, and that's a little bit more nerve wracking than if you have a game. You can look at people. I mean, you can look at the game, you can talk to people. It's kind of whatever makes you more comfortable.
Mm. What was? Can I ask what the theme of the dinner was? Like,
I
oh,
think
I
it was
don't
just I
like
think it was
people.
just a group for people that just wanted to hang out. Like
Yeah,
I
okay,
don't.
that's pretty cool. But like, that's what meetups like. Like, it's
Oh,
how.
it was an
Oh,
introverts group actually.
no
It was
way! All right, there
yeah,
you go.
it was a meetup group for introverts. Yes, it
Oh
was.
wow! Of all the introverts, the most extroverted introverts. For them to go.
Pretty much, pretty much.
Yeah.
I actually made a really good friend there that I ended up going to yoga with and doing a bunch of 5Ks with. So it was definitely worth doing. Um,
Mm. Oh, that's really cool.
yeah. So I guess now we can get to the Q&A for everybody who's been watching this and sticking with us.
Yeah.
Nate asks, how about your special scale of 0 to 10? What is your strength, perception, endurance, charisma, intelligence, agility, and luck? And Jacob, I'm gonna let you go first on that one because I gotta think about it.
Yeah, those are hard. All right, so I'm gonna focus on the things where I feel like I'd be where my attributes would be highest, and then where they would be lowest. So strength, as you guys were here, if you guys have been here for the whole chat, I was talking about how I exercise once a week for 10 minutes. Strength probably isn't like my top attribute. So perception, I guess maybe that might be a bit higher. I try and I like to think of myself as a cool, perceptive guy. Yeah, okay. Um, endurance, again, you know, back to the 10 minutes running thing. So maybe not. I mean, I think endurance in this case is physical endurance. I feel like maybe like mental endurance, mental fortitude. I'd like to believe I'm like a little bit stronger, but in case of normal endurance, yeah, probably not very high. Charisma, I don't know. I think I'm a chatty guy. I would like to give some points for charisma. Intelligence, I feel like that's like such a nerd lame thing to be like, I'm a really smart
You're
guy.
like 10,
So
10.
like I don't know. I think compared since I'm losing points in strength and endurance, yeah, there probably would be some there. Um, agility. I mean, it's like this whole test was based around my running. Agility's probably really low because of the running, and then luck because like I'm slow, man, and I gotta survive somehow. So you definitely gotta throw some points into luck for me.
Nice. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'd probably be pretty close to the same. Strength, I would give myself a 6, maybe.
I think the way you're describing, like you go to yoga, you have like a regular exercise thing. Like I think your strength is pretty high. Like you probably like you could beat me up for sure. Like no question.
Okay, maybe I'll give myself a 7 for strength.
Yeah. The only thing in my favor is like maybe I can escape due to my high luck stat.
Yeah, let's see. Perception. I'm gonna have to be like maybe right in the middle there, because sometimes I'm really perceptive, and then other times something could be right in front of me and I'm not gonna see it. My depth perception is like really bad. I actually almost failed that on my eye exam. So I did fail that on my eye exam. So I don't know if that should count, but we'll just go with we'll go with 5.
Oh yeah, I'm thinking of it as like figured like perception of like like in terms of like hand-eye coordination, I'm pretty shit there too. So
yeah, and I think that about the only thing I can do good with hand-eye coordination is like shoot pool. I shoot pool really well, but I can't do the long shots because I seriously have no depth perception. So anything that's far away, it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
But endurance, my endurance sucks. I learned that after working out again for the first time in a month a few days ago. It's bad, so I give myself like a 3 there, maybe.
I mean, give yourself a little bit higher because, like, think about it. Like, how many times have I had to drink water compared to like I have not seen you take a drink of water at all this entire chat. So like, that's some good endurance right there. Oh, you do have coffee. Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah, but actually, I don't really drink a whole lot of water, so I can endure without water for a long time. I don't know if maybe that does count.
My flatmate is the same. So he's like doing a PhD right now, and he just goes forever without drinking water, so he doesn't have to take washroom breaks. Which I'm kind of like, that's like some smart next level thinking. But I don't do that. I'm like coffee, tea, water, and then like toilet break every 20 minutes.
Yeah, no, I do that too though. If I'm like on a road trip, if I'm like getting ready to go hike, which is bad because you need to drink a lot when you're like hiking. But I will drink the least amount of water that I need to survive to avoid having to like go to the bathroom in times when that would be an inconvenience. So I definitely get what your roommate's thing.
Yeah.
Let's see, charisma. I'd say it's situational, but I'd say in most public things, I'd say my charisma is probably pretty high. I can bullshit with the best of them, and usually come out okay. Intelligence, of course, it's like you said, it's a nerd thing. We all wanna think that we're like super smart. So I'd probably give myself maybe like an 8 there or something. Agility, I'm okay. Agile, I'm probably one of the more medium. Luck, I don't know. It's toss a coin there. So I'd say I've got like a 5 in luck, because I can have really good luck, or I can have days when like everything that can go wrong goes wrong one right after the other. So
I feel like that's like, yeah. I mean, I know those days. I feel like I've been quite fortunate that they don't happen too often, but they're the worst when just everything goes wrong, and you're to the point where like by like the 4th or 5th thing that goes wrong, you start to laugh because you're like, yo, like this, you like you can't recover from this.
Yeah, I always wonder if the power of positive thinking goes into playing into that, because sometimes you can just be like, man, this is going to be a bad day, and then it is, and like just one thing after another. So
but that's why you have to like set yourself up right. Like that's the thing that I'm talking about, like exercising. Like if I said to myself, I'm going to exercise every day, when I haven't been doing that, that means I'm going to wake up every day and start my day on like a bad failing note, right? So
yeah, that's true. That is true.
You got to be. It's tough, but sometimes it's certainly tough, and it's like, especially right now, we're living in crazy times, and so to wake up and be like, let's do this, you're like, chill.
Yeah, for sure. So Brian asked, when does the never-ending dungeon end? So no one has ever completed the never-ending dungeon, so that's why they don't actually know when it ends. Of course, I'm the author, so I know when it ends, but that'll never be explored in the books or talked about in the books for sure. So
Is book 7 going to be Never Ending Dungeon Part 2?
actually, it kind of is because they're back in the dungeon. So
Oh, that's cool. I see that Jeremiah is watching and it said hello, and so he's waving. Oh, and then I see that Nate has waved back. I was like reading the comments wrong, so I saw Jeremiah said hello, hey Jeremiah, and then Nate waved, but then I was like, oh no, Nate's leaving. But no, Nate is here. He was just also saying hi to Jeremiah.
yes, he's super friendly.
Brian,
All right, thanks for coming in, Brian.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. And yeah, I hope you check out my books and enjoy them. And it was nice chatting with you, man.
Yeah, definitely stay safe. Stay
safe. Yeah.
All right. So does anybody else have any more questions for us?
So what have so this is a follow on from stuff I was doing at Facebook Live last week. Have you like had any good snacks that you like? What have been your snacks of choice going on during lockdown?
Have you ever heard of puffcorn?
Let me do we're here at the computer. I'll do a quick Google search. I think maybe.
It's made by Cheetos.
Okay, I do like Cheetos. I don't think I've had this.
It's Cheetos elevated. It's Cheetos, but they pretty much melt in your mouth. Okay. And I discovered these at way before quarantine. I used to go play board games with some friends, like one night a week. And one of the guys brought these Cheetos, and I inhaled them. And so now I buy them whenever I can. But that's been probably the biggest quarantine snack I've been eating. What about you?
I mean, I've been going for broke now. Like every time I go to the to the grocery store, I'm like, all right, yeah, let's throw it in. Let's give it a try. So I'm like really like going through the chocolates. But the thing, so just like take any chocolate. The lesson I've learned during this quarantine, mainly by like other readers in my reading group, were just telling me like you got to do this. Is you got to put the chocolate in the freezer.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
And oh my God, like my life has changed, and this is like a weird, like circular life lesson. Cause I feel like as a kid, when I was at my grandparents' house, they would always have chocolate in the freezer. So I knew it was good. I just like forgotten it and had to like relearn it myself, like reattain the knowledge. And that's been a game changer.
So what's your favorite frozen chocolate then?
I think it just goes back. I feel like it just like the freezing of it elevates all the chocolate. So I don't know if it's like so far in my testing, I've not seen any chocolate that's like was like maybe like mid tier somehow beat top tier stuff that was frozen, if that makes sense. So Bueno was a surprise because I didn't think Bueno would be good frozen just because it's got that creamy gooey inside and like that's kind of the thing. But it worked too. It was good.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think like some things would freeze better than others. I don't know if I'd want a frozen Bueno though. I love Bueno.
I'd give it a try because it means that the gooiness inside is less gooey, I guess. I mean that's not a very appetizing way of describing it, but like but it means that sort of in Nutella inside flavor, it like lasts longer. And that's the thing I found, that the frozenness just accentuates the chocolate flavor to like the next level. Clearly you've seen I've had a lot of time on my hands in quarantine.
Yeah, you're like doing scientific studies on the chocolate freezing.
Nate says 100 grams in the freezer are pretty baller. I don't know if I've had 100 grams. I think this might be American chocolate. 100 grams. I'm looking it up.
Is that the one covered in? It's like caramel covered in peanuts, I think.
Oh, it looks really good. I'm image searching it right now. Oh, I'm into this. Basically for me, it's all about the peanut game for me. Like I really like that peanut life in my chocolate. So like Reese's peanut butter cups, all that stuff I love. Like M&Ms, like I only want the peanut M&Ms.
Oh, now I'm gonna want chocolate after this. Trying to
Yeah,
be good, trying to diet.
yeah. I've been eating. I guess like because we're so trapped inside. Like I have been like eating my feelings a lot via chocolate and thinking
Yeah.
about it a lot too.
There's like a meme that's going around about like it's like pre-quarantine where like it's a gorilla meme where the gorilla's like all fit and then like post-quarantine the gorilla's all fat and I'm like yeah that's pretty accurate. I'm pretty sure I've been gaining weight in quarantine.
No way. I'm exercising once a week for 10 minutes.
You're like I got this.
I'm working against it. Okay, guys, update. Nate is saying that the 100 grams is actually Rice Crisps, not peanuts. But that works for me. I mean, do you know that chocolate? I think it's called Crunch. I really like that one. And it's like
The Nestle Crunch?
I think Nestle Crunch. So like the packaging is blue and then like red
Yeah.
letters. Yeah. And that I'm really into. So I don't know. Still, man, 100 grams. I like it. And I kind of like, I like the name. I'm sure this must be a part of the marketing. I don't know because it's like I've never experienced. But is it like I got 100 grams in my pocket?
Yeah.
No way.
Jeez. Yeah, I'm sure.
And I don't.
see.
Do you know who Babe Ruth is? Nate's saying someone Babe Ruth would be your friends.
Babe Ruth is a famous baseball player.
Okay. Look, I've been talking about how like I don't exercise. I have zero perception.
Yeah, he's long dead, but
No, the name rings a bell. Okay. All right.
yeah, it's a candy. Yeah, I think it's another peanut candy, a peanut and caramel candy. But yeah, it's named after a baseball player.
Oh, okay. Oh, see, look, these are okay. So this is very exciting because I've not been to visit the States in a while. Well, actually, that's not true. I was actually in Boston last year for a wedding. But next time I go, now I have a list of chocolates to try. So Babe Ruth's and 100 grams and puffcorns.
So, what are some popular candies in the UK that you would not find in the States? Do you know of any?
See, this is where I'm like such a weird international kid now, where I'm like, I don't know what's Canadian, what's American, what's British. I know certainly, so as a Canadian, one of my favorite chocolates is called Coffee Crisp, and I don't think you guys have that.
Mm-mm.
So yeah, it's like coffee flavored chocolate thing. And I mean, the commercials for that were really good growing up, where it'd be like, can you keep like a cup of coffee in your desk? And some guy would like pull out like his drawer and it'd be like full of coffee. And then it's like, no, you can't. So get Coffee Crisp. And then he like pulls out the drawer and there's the Coffee Crisp. And it was kind of like, I mean, maybe this is my experience, but I feel like other Canadian children, I feel like would back this up, which it was kind of like the weird like grandparent chocolate. Like it's like that would be what was in the freezer, like be like, oh yeah, I got candy, like here's some Coffee Crisp. But then you learn to love it.
I was gonna say you make it sound like the one candy nobody would want.
No, it was delicious. I really like to this day. So like when I go back home to visit family and stuff, I always get Coffee Crisp, and then I get these potato chips called Ruffles All Dressed, which are absolutely incredible. But I'm trying to think. Okay, so there's this candy. So it's not a chocolate, but there's this candy here in England that I really like it's called drumsticks, and it's like, I don't know, it's kind of like a lollipop, but then when you eat it, you can kind of like it like morphs with the way you like you put it in your mouth. Like so like you can like kind of like twist it and then it'll spiral.
Okay, that just sounds weird.
It's very weird and but it's very tasty. So they're called drumsticks. Okay, one last one, Jacob. Have you ever had Dr. Pepper soda? Yes, I have. I think Dr. Pepper, it's in Canada and it's in the UK. Very good. Big fan of Dr. Pepper.
I just recently started liking it. Have you ever had it? Do they have Sonic, like the restaurant Sonic there in the UK? The drive-thru?
Sonic
Okay.
drive-thru?
Yeah. Oh, you don't have to look it up. It's not impressive. But
Okay.
but they.
Yeah.
They'll put like flavorings in your sodas, and when I go, I have them put like cream and like vanilla in the Dr. Pepper, and it's really really good.
So when I was a little kid, I really liked vanilla Coke. That was like my favorite off-brand of Coke. Um, yeah. Um, so one thing that I found really so compared to Canada and I think the States, I found in the UK, at least where I'm living in the part of London I'm living in, there's not as many, I don't know, world food options. Like so there's like less Chinese food I find and like less like cool stuff like that. Uh they seem but maybe okay, maybe this is the same. I don't know. Tell me, like there is so much fried chicken places in South London where I live. It's insane. Like it's just like you can't like if I'm walking home from a friend's house, I will pass by 10 or 15 just fried chicken places. And at first you see the first one, you're like, no, I don't want it. And then by like the 15th, you're like, yeah, all right, here's my money. 4 wings, throw it in. I deserved it. I walked here.
I walked here. Yeah, you would deserve it after that. Probably puts no weight on you at that point.
I mean, the propaganda though of like the fried chicken everywhere.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, so I live close to Mexico, so for us it is Mexican restaurants everywhere. You cannot throw a rock without hitting one.
Yeah.
But most of them are pretty similar. But there are a few like really good ones.
Yeah, and I mean to be fair, like I'm talking about like the weird sort of corner of London that I live in is like this. Like if you go into the center of the city, yeah, like everything that you normally see is there. But yeah, I mean, yeah, Mexican. I haven't had Mexican in ages. I bet I've heard Mexican's really good down south, like in Texas, and I've heard I had a friend of mine who really got into like I think smoked chicken or smoked beef and stuff. And like that's a big thing down there, which I hear is really good, like smoked barbecue or something.
Yeah, and jerky is a big thing down here.
Yeah. No, so that sounds good. I'm like,
hi Randy, by the way.
Hey Randy, we're just talking about snacks, so like throw any recommendations you have in. Because I'm like actually so pumped. Like I want to come to America now to eat all these candies.
Yeah, the candy's good. The jerky's good.
Because
I don't like barbecue, but supposedly the barbecue is good.
Because the mistake you make as a Canadian is like growing up in Canada, like we watch all the shows, like the accent's pretty identical. Like it's easy to think like, oh, like there's no difference, and then you go, and so you don't take stock in the fact that you're like, yo, I gotta go and try all of these things. Like we don't have White Castle in Canada.
Oh, right? You're lucky.
What?
I don't like White Castle. I had it once.
They spent the whole movie trying to get there.
I know. That made me want it, and it was funny because like shortly, a little bit after that came out, I actually had a job as a field auditor where I traveled around the country auditing hospitals. So when I got to a place where they had a White Castle, I was so excited. I was like, oh my God, this is going to be the best thing ever. And then I tried it and I was like, oh my God, I can't even finish it. It's horrible.
Is it yeah, because like do they have like a weird topping thing? Like it's not normal burger toppings, like it's just like that. I feel like that's what I've heard. I don't know.
I don't even remember. I do think they have like a weird sauce. They're kind of like square shaped. I think it's just like a really thin meat patty and maybe some onions and a weird sauce, but it wasn't good. So I consider McDonald's doesn't taste like a real burger to me. McDonald's, I don't consider them a real burger, but it's kind of like that. It tastes nothing like a hamburger would.
Yeah.
But its own flavor I don't think is very good.
Well, okay, so I was with you until the very end because I was like, yeah, the McDonald's hamburger is its own flavor. Maybe that, like, you know, the appetite, when I have an appetite for like McDonald's, it's for McDonald's rather than like a burger you'd get at like a sit down restaurant or something. Like, you know, like an actual burger. But yeah, man, I'm dead about that. You know, I mean, but here's the thing, because I feel like it's very fun. I don't know if this is like some weird like hyper capitalist thing, like, but like it's nice when you go to different countries to try the McDonald's because it's neat how they're different.
You know, I normally wouldn't be down for that, but when I went to Maine, they had And I'm pretty sure if I went to McDonald's in a different country, I probably would try it, especially like in Korea where they flavor their things really weird. Or not really weird, but differently. But when I went to Maine, they had a lobster roll. And of course, I had just went down and had like fresh lobster rolls, and it was awesome. And I'm like, but I've got to try this McDonald's lobster roll.
That's cool.
Yeah, and of course, it was frozen lobster meat, and it was absolutely horrible compared to what I just had. But I just had to. I was like, what is a McDonald's lobster roll gonna taste like?
You got to give it a try. I remember like when it was like, I don't know if have they released a new Shrek movie in a while, but it was like, I think like Shrek 2, Shrek 3, McDonald's had like a mint chocolate chip milkshake for like Shrek theme. And I was really into that. So Nate solved our mystery with the White Castle burgers. It's that the sauteed onions is the special ingredient.
That's my only reaction.
I heard that like there's like joke. So I remember like a school teacher, somebody telling me like this long story about White Castle, and that I don't know, either in the burger wrapping or like on somewhere there's like a joke. It comes with like a little joke included in the packaging. Does that ring a bell to anybody?
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
Nope.
All right. Well, there you go. Wow.
Yeah.
So what is the first thing you're gonna do when the quarantine ends?
This is really bad, but I'm probably gonna go to a bar. I'm probably gonna go to a bar and have somebody else make my drinks for me instead of me having to make them myself.
That sounds nice. I mean, the only thing is, like, I would, because like, what does that look like? Is everyone gonna be like really like aggro and like weird, like when you go to a bar, like don't touch me, like stay away from me?
I don't know. Well, one thing I'm worried about, and I'm pretty sure it will happen because it did happen in China when they started letting people go back out, is I'm worried that people are going to flood public areas, and I really can't say anything about it because I will too.
Yeah.
I would be one of those dumb Americans that's like really trying to get out. But I don't know. There's like a little bar kind of. It's down the street, and I don't think that one's going to be too packed. Like, I'm not going to go to a super popular bar where I know where everybody's going to be there.
Yeah.
But I don't. My boyfriend's worried that people are going to be like really aggressive, and that the places are going to be understaffed to handle all the people that are out, and that they're going to get overwhelmed, and yeah, people are going to be grumpy. But I'm a little bit more optimistic. I'm hoping that doesn't happen.
I mean, it's complicated though, because it's like in some ways, I guess you don't want that to happen, but then it's like you want businesses to thrive as well, right? Like after this. So I don't know, weird times, man. Yeah, it's been, I was just thinking of a funny story. This is week 2 of lockdown, and I remember going outside, and I think there's like lineups at the grocery store. And I didn't realize that, and so I accidentally butt some people, and they're like, "Hey, man, like you butt the line," and I was like, "Oh, like I'm really sorry," and they're like, "Yeah," and they're like really aggro about it, and I went to the back of the line, and then I was like, "Okay, great, like this is my one human interaction for the week,"
It was bad. Yeah. It's funny because, like I said, I've been trying not to go out so much, especially since they have this new law about the masks going on. But before I think it was like the 2 days before, we went to the liquor store, and the line at the liquor store was longer than the line at the grocery store. It was impressive.
Wow. I've been going to all the small shops now because I don't want to go like the way, like in my neighborhood, there's a lot of small like grocery shops, and so I've been going to them because I don't want to wait in a line. I don't like waiting in lines.
Yeah, I don't blame you. It's kind of a pain. But they just keep making more and more restrictions, so many people can go into stores at a time. Is it like that there in the UK, where only a certain amount of people can go into a store at a time?
Yeah, and they have like tape now out where to mark where you need to stand to socially distance, and then there's like a security guard at the door. And so I went to one, and they were like, "You're only allowed one item," and I was like, "But I only like the pepperoni oven pizza." And they're like, "It doesn't matter."
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I feel like I went to buy fruit because I was trying to be healthy at the beginning of this and just drink fruit smoothies for a while. And I had like five different. They were all different kinds of fruit, but I think I had like 5 bags, and they made me put back some because apparently people are like buying the hell out of fruit, frozen fruit. So I was like, oh man, this sucks. But I'm like, I guess people are buying this, but I mean,
Yeah.
no stock when I was there, but you know.
Yeah, so the thing that sold out everywhere in the UK, I don't know if this was the same in London, was like Heinz baked beans just sold out everywhere. And I was like, weirdly, like that's not what I've been eating normally. But then suddenly, because I couldn't get it, I was like, I want it so bad. Nate just said, yeah, support local. And I've like done a little, like I always did a little bit of both, but certainly going out of this, yeah, my takeaway is that I'm going to continue to support these little guys, and that's like a weird little positive, I guess, you could take from the situation is that I've discovered all these smaller shops that I think I prefer to the big chains, so that's really nice.
Yeah, we actually found a really good pizza place last week that we never would have like thought to go to before. But we were looking for we were just looking to try somewhere new, and it was really good. And we're definitely getting pizza there again. But
Yeah,
definitely the small businesses are definitely suffering the most right now. So
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's really tough. And yeah, so same. It was actually me and my flatmate discovered a pizza place because it was his birthday, and it was like we need to do something. So we went and got pizza, and we brought it back to the house. And we were like, "Isn't this nice to have like an evening?"
so I noticed you have a Naruto wall scroll
Yeah,
behind
hey,
you.
cool, huh? Yeah,
Hmm, hmm.
it's like chibi Naruto, so it's all like
Yeah.
little mini Naruto people.
So I
Um,
gotta ask, are you caught up with Baruto? Has it ended? Is it still going? Is it?
so this summer I went because as I've been writing, my lit RPG series and reading other lit RPG series and starting to read some more web novels and stuff, I'm really interested in sort of how do you tell stories that stay exciting but continue on a long period of time? Like, how do you tell a long story? And I started to think, who does that best? Like anime and manga. And
Definitely.
so I didn't want to commit like the hundreds of hours it would take to watch Naruto again. So I ended up getting rereading the whole manga, and it was really awesome because the comic book shop near here did like so that you could get them in omnibus editions now for like three
Ooh,
volume
nice.
one, and then they also had like a 3 for 2 offer. So it ended up being quite cheaper to like it seemed like it would be a lot, but it was okay. And I reread the whole thing over July last year, and it was epic. But I definitely think the first 30 volumes, like the original Naruto before Shippuden, I think
Hmm.
where like those are like the best moments. Like there's a couple of really good moments later on in the series, but like 1 to 30 just has all the best stuff. And so and that's a long-winded way of saying no, I've not even tried Boruto.
I give the first few episodes a try. It was okay. I just man the fillers killed me around Shippuden. I actually got online once I started falling behind because I used to keep up with them like as they were being released. But
Yeah,
then I finally had to get online and like look up a website that would tell me which episodes were fillers and which ones weren't, so I could like skip the filler ones because there's just so many of them.
that's
But
where I fell off too. And I feel like I don't know. To me, like this is like I think one of like actually like one of my proudest nerd moments was that like I was watching those fan subs of Naruto when they were first coming out back in the day. And so like I became familiar with like the TV stations in Tokyo. I was like, yeah, like TV Tokyo is where you watch Naruto. And like I would, and I remember telling my friends I'm like this show, and like they'd never heard of it. I don't know. I remember being like really cool, like thinking really well of myself for doing that. But I did try. I mean, Boruto because it's not the same. Like, isn't it kind of all filler, really, Boruto? Like, maybe that's blasphemy. I don't know, but because it's not the is the creator really behind it?
I honestly have no idea. I would be
Yeah,
lying if I told you one way or another.
yeah. Or is it like the equivalent of Dragon Ball Z? And it's like, you know, Naruto Shippuden was Dragon Ball, and now Boruto is Dragon Ball Z. Is that possible?
I did not watch Dragon Ball. I'm gonna lose my nerd badge a little bit for that one, but I do not like Dragon Ball. I've tried watching it, and I can't get behind the art style, which is sad because I think Dragon Quest uses the same art style,
This
right?
is why you're not going to play Chrono Trigger. It all
Yes,
comes
yes,
out
because
now.
that's the
This
same
is
art
all
style
like
too.
comes out now because you
Yes.
don't like Akira Toriyama's art. Outrageous.
Yes,
Yeah, I mean, I watched it as a teenager. I don't know if I'd be able to watch it now. Like it had a lot of filler, but instead of like adding like whole other plot lines, it was just like we're gonna stretch the fight out for like 10 episodes. So yeah, but there's a game that's been released where you can play through the whole Dragon Ball saga. And I've been hearing things about it. Like if you want to like get nostalgic about Dragon Ball, you can go play this game.
Well, that sounds like a better way to experience it, in my opinion.
Oh my god, so much Dragon Ball shade.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
It's like the people watching just like it just goes down to zero.
Sorry, guys. I'll make sure to edit that out later.
I mean, to be fair, I actually don't like like a lot of nerdy stuff comes up. Like Naruto definitely comes up. I feel like in the lit RPG groups I hang out in, I don't think I've ever really seen people talk about Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
Maybe they do. I don't know.
Yeah, most of the things I see people talking about are like isekai and of course stuff like Sword Art Online and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I saw someone earlier in the chat. People were talking about Sword Art Online and then Log Horizon. I liked. So, do you have any opinions on Log Horizon or Sword Art Online, Phoenix?
I watched the first episode of Log Horizon. I don't remember why I didn't keep watching it. I mean, I know that's like the classic like go-to. Everybody like always talks about it. Sword Art Online, I kind of didn't like it because I thought it was a ripoff of Dot Hack. But yeah, so I couldn't. After watching Dot Hack, when I started that, I was just like, oh, I just can't get behind it. But then, I've realized over the time that it's just a genre thing. It's definitely not like a rip. But for some reason, when I saw it, because it was the first big one that came out after. Like really, really big one that came out after Dot Hack, I was just like, I just can't get behind it. And I've seen some of the like more popular episodes of it, so I've seen like bits and pieces of it, but I haven't like sat down and watched more than like a few episodes.
Yeah, I'm sort of a similar way that I've only seen like the first 5 or so episodes of Sword Art Online because what I ended up doing was I ended up reading the light novel, like just the first volume, which it has a really cool history if you don't know. It was originally self-published. He like published it on his website, and it's like kind of a self-contained story. Like it kind of he goes on to build like a larger thing, but yeah, it's like a self-contained story. It's kind of like a love story. It's kind of nice. Like I really actually like to date of all the light novels I've read, it's been my favorite. So I really enjoyed that. And then Log Horizon's the opposite. I tried the light novel, struggled with it. And then I've seen the first season and really liked it. And it's got a super catchy theme song, which I'm not going to try singing because, I've seen Jeremiah said Tokyo Ghoul is one of his faves. Yes, so I've only seen the first season of Tokyo Ghoul. I don't know. I remember when it first came to Netflix. So I watched a bunch of it on there. I don't know if it's continued. I definitely know that I've seen like the volumes have been coming out. It's some dark, crazy stuff. Tokyo Ghoul.
Yeah, I watched the first season of it. I got almost to the end, but man, that main guy, he just didn't pick it up for me. So I did end up dropping it because I was like, man, this guy is weak sauce. But
a lot of anime just hits me in the feels. Like I find it like too emotionally intense, and sometimes I'm like, I can't. Like it's just too much for me.
I think I'm like super picky about anime nowadays because when I first started watching anime, I like just watched everything. The first one I ever saw was Ninja Scroll, which is like super old, and then just everything I found after that I watched. But now it's more. I'd say it's more more miss than hit on things. I actually just found a really good one, and I watched it the other day, and I don't think it's in the U.S. yet. Titles in Japanese, I can't remember it, but when I remember it, I'll let you know. It's a isekai. It's really good, but
Oh wow, yeah. Please let us know. Because you're a big fan. I've seen you mention like you really like Grimgar of Fantasy and Ash. That's one of your.
I do like Grimgar a lot. I wouldn't say it's one of my favorite, but I definitely I
Mm.
compare it to my series because it's a slice of life and
Oh, I see.
it's
Yeah, yeah.
it's more realistic. Like if someone got ported into a world like that, it's more realistic how they go about approaching the monsters, and they're really struggling, which I like it because I think it's unique, and that being that type of an anime.
Randy asks, did either of you see Rarun? Okay, so I'm gonna butcher this name. Raruni or Raroni Kenshin.
It's Rurouni Kenshin.
Raroni Kenshin. Okay, so I got there on my own. It took me a couple tries. I I read some of the manga early on, but I've not actually seen it. But I've always heard good things. Are you a fan, Phoenix?
Yes, I've seen it all. I've seen the live action. That live action was even pretty good, and I did like it. But that was like forever ago. That was one of the first animes I watched. Also, Jeremiah mentioned Berserker, which made me think of Berserk, which I love Berserk, but but yeah, Rurouni Kenshin is really good. It's all about samurai, and it's with Samurai X2, well not X2, but Samurai X, and then he stops using his sword to kill, and then he's Rurouni Kenshin. Or it's either that way or vice versa. I don't remember.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that sounds good. Did you of the samurai anime? I think Samurai Champloo was always one of my faves.
I never watched it, and everybody raves about it. I've
Yeah,
seen bits and pieces, but I've never seen a full episode of it.
yeah, it's cool because it's like it's by the guy who did Cowboy Bebop. So like Cowboy Bebop's like sci-fi mixed with jazz music, and then Samurai Champloo is like samurais mixed with hip hop music, and so yeah, it's just got some really cool funky tracks and like cool animation of like samurais fighting each other.
Yeah, I've heard that was like super good.
This is so exciting. So Nate just said Trigun will always be my number one, and I think it's been ages since I watched it, but I think that might be one of the first animes I completed from start to finish because it was the first one I like went to the Chinatown in Toronto, uh, and they had DVDs there of like this anime that was really hard to find, and I remember picking up Trigun, and it was so exciting because before that you'd only catch what you could find on television stations, and it would you sort of like you didn't know how it all fit together. Um, so yeah, I've been meaning to do a rewatch of Trigun. To be fair,
Yeah, I've seen most of Trigun. It was never one of my favorites,
I didn't.
but I did like it.
I just remember being a little kid and not understanding the ending. Maybe it was like the English dub or something, but like I didn't entirely understand the ending of Trigun. Like I think maybe I was just like a little kid who didn't understand things, so I should just go back. But it was like I don't want to say it out loud what they were like saying because I don't want to spoil it. But I remember being like, "What?" Okay, Phoenix, top five animes of all time.
Oh, top five.
Or if we
Um,
can make it top three if it's easier.
okay. Parasite is my favorite anime of all time. I love
I
Parasite.
Parasite anime. I don't. Okay, I'll
Yeah,
look it up. It's really freaky.
yeah,
Whoa.
it's about a guy who's pretty much got like an alien as a hand, but it's really good. It's not super long. Berserk would be my second favorite anime of all time.
Hmm.
Uh, very gory.
Yeah.
And then my third favorite would be Naruto. So for anyone who's seen all three of those, it's like very dark, not quite so dark.
It has its dark moments, Naruto. Like
Yeah, the first big fight with Naruto and Sasuke, and where you think Sasuke is gonna kick it.
yeah. But then even like Sasuke, like Sasuke's whole like story and arc, like his brother killed his entire family.
Yeah,
And that's a
yeah,
pretty,
that's pretty
like,
dark.
I feel like that's all just like maybe in the scale of anime, like or you're like, oh yeah, that's not that dark. But it's like that's just the general like emotional register of anime is like always at like the highest it can be.
Yeah, Yeah, I love Naruto because it really did like grip your feels so many times and over again, and that's important to me, and like something that I'm really gonna love a lot. So yeah, Naruto did it, Parasite did it. I don't want to say Berserk really like grips your feels like a whole lot, but it's just a very interesting story.
Hmm.
So, what about you? What are your top three?
So definitely okay. So like what? So I'd probably say Full Metal Alchemist, and I'm going to include both Full Metal Alchemist and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood because there's like two offshoot series, but I'll include them together. Um, that I think is my favorite. Like I feel like that's the perfect balance of sort of that long form anime storytelling, kind of like Naruto, but it does end within like 50 episodes. It is like a pretty contained. Like by the end of Naruto, it does feel like the ninja war thing kind of goes on forever, right? And like,
Yeah,
whereas like the final battle, especially of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, which is like the final like 15 episodes or something, it's just like the most epic stuff. Like there seems like all this like setup and payoff that starts happening in those final episodes where you're just like, oh my god, it's so good. So that's definitely a number one for me. Two, wow. I mean, there's so many. I mean, yeah, okay, I want to put Naruto on there. Okay, I'm gonna put Naruto as number five somewhere there. And then oh no, okay, Naruto's got to be high up because I like the themes of Naruto, which is like if you work hard, you can be the best, and like I like that message.
yeah,
um,
it was definitely uplifting, which I liked.
and the way that theme sort of plays out in all the fights from like the Rock Lee fight, right? Like Rock Lee, like the guy who's just like tried his hardest to be the best versus like Gara, like monster talents. And you're like, oh my gosh. And like to see that play out. There was an anime. This was like kind of so there's this YouTuber who I really like called Mother's Basement. And I think it's because he started the channel in his mother's basement. And
Nice.
he reviews anime shows, so it's worth checking out. And he did one on his like favorite fantasy anime, and he recommended this show called Scrapped Princess. I don't know if anyone's heard of it. Have you heard of
I've
it?
heard of it. Yeah, I've heard of it, but
So
I've never seen it.
I watched it quite recently. It's really cool and like has some pretty twists that make it kind of like I don't want to give anything away, but there's like weird element, like I it touches on a lot of things we've spoken about today, and we speak about in our works, and it kind of comes out unexpectedly in this series. But yeah, so then probably Samurai Champloo, maybe Cowboy Bebop, Neon Genesis. I was a big fan of until like the final two episodes where I was like, I don't understand what's going on anymore.
I need to rewatch that one. It's been a long time.
Oh, and actually, probably. So, growing up, my favorite, the like manga collection I got all of was all 25 volumes. Was this show called or this manga called GTO, Great Teacher Onizuka?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I was like really into that, like this weird like teen drama thing. I was like, this is good shit. I was really into that.
Did you watch the anime? They
And you
had
know
a
what?
live action. They had a live action one too.
I've seen the live action movie. I actually was like one that might have been one of the last video store rentals actually I did. Cuz like near the comic book shop I went to growing up there was like this cool sort of hipster DVD rental place. So they had all the like they had lots of anime DVDs and they had like just more imported titles and stuff. So I was able to check out the GTO live action. I've yet to watch a live action anime movie that I've been that excited about.
I don't think the movies are that great, but the shows like they did a the Japanese live action Death Note. I thought was pretty good. I thought the
I've
casting was really good.
I've heard good things. Was it a TV show or a movie? The live
No,
action.
it was a TV show. It was like
Okay.
several episodes, and they did a really good job on it.
See, because
I know that
what were you
I was
saying?
gonna say I know that they did a movie too, but I never watched their live action movie of it.
Yeah, so I read the manga of Death Note, and I've never watched the anime. But maybe it would be cool to try the live action. Would you recommend the live action?
Oh yeah, I would. I mean, of course, I'm gonna recommend the anime first, but I feel like the live action is a little bit more condensed. Of course, they can't do as much with live action as they can with the anime. So
Yeah. Um,
so Randy said Rurouni Kenshin fought with a reverse blade sword. After being a manslayer for the king for 3 years, he chose to be a man of peace. His sword didn't cut, it did bruise really bad though. If you flip the blade, it would cut and it could kill if needed. Yeah, I remember that. I don't remember at what point it was Samurai X, and then what point it went to Rurouni Kenshin.
Oh, are they like related series? Is that?
Well, they're both about him, but one was about when he would kill, I believe. Yeah, I think Samurai X was when he was the manslayer for the king, and then it went to Rurouni Kenshin after that. I think he would probably know the answer to this better than I would.
Oh, actually, so I'm just thinking about it. I'm just like running through my head animes I've seen, and like I'm going back to like when I was younger and stuff. And one I remember really liking, and I don't think it was considered like one of the best or anything. Chrono Crusade. Did you ever watch that?
That sounds familiar.
Well,
give me a breakdown. Give me a breakdown of the characters.
So there's like I think one of them's like a nun, but she has like guns and they like fight demons or something. But then like her best friend is like a demon who's like a good demon. And then I think it's like also like set in some like maybe 1930s past or something. Like I can't remember.
Nope, you lost me.
Yeah.
I have not seen this one, I can say.
And I also really like Hunter x Hunter, which was really cool.
I couldn't get into that. Everybody told me that Naruto was based off of that, is what I had heard, and then I had some other anime guy tell me that it was like the other way around. But whatever the case, I just couldn't get into it after watching Naruto. I was like,
yeah. The one that I've not actually. So this might be blasphemous because everyone keeps telling me to watch it. Is My Hero Academia.
I don't like it.
What? Really? You don't like Dragon Ball?
I forgot what's shonen. It's shonen, right? That's the genre for that. Yeah, I don't know. I'm really, really super picky about shonen.
The thing about shonen is that it's like how much are you going to invest? So everyone tells me One Piece is amazing as well, but like it's gigantic. It's the biggest.
Yeah. I watched the first episode of One Piece and I like really liked it, and I was gonna keep watching it, and everybody was like, "You're gonna be watching it for the rest of your life. Don't do it."
Yeah. One I started, which I watched the first season of, but it's really because I bought the DVD before lockdown, and now it's been. I guess I could order the second season, but it was Re:Zero, which is an isekai one, and I really am digging it.
I think I've seen like the first episode of that.
I think so. The first 3 episodes are all right, but then because it's like basically his special power is that he can basically if he dies, he like starts over, he like respawns, and so it starts getting really cooler in the later episodes because like he goes to bed one night and then he wakes up and realizes it's not the next day, so someone's killed him in his sleep and stuff like that, and you're like, whoa, that's a cool twist.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That is cool. That's the one where he's it starts out where he's like working in an office.
No, I think he's like just a dude. I think he's like literally like he's in like a 7-Eleven or like the Japanese equivalent, and he's like buying some snacks. And then I think he gets hit like the classic hit by a car thing, or not even that. Like he just walks outside and then he's suddenly like his vision flickers and then he's in this fantasy world.
Okay. There are so many of them. It's hard to keep up sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of any other good ones that I could like recommend, but I'm kind of behind on the times on the anime. Of course, I liked Konosuba. Have you seen that? Everybody likes Konosuba.
So I've not seen it, but I've watched I think the second theme song. I was repeatedly just watching like the intro to that because I found it really. I felt the song was really catchy, and I felt like the whole animation was really charming. Like they're like adventurers, and they keep getting into like hijinks and stuff, and it looked really fun and charming.
Yeah, that one's really cute. Let's see. Something about the overcautious hero. It's a new one that's out. I'm getting the name wrong, but that's part of it. Yeah, something of an overcautious hero. That one's pretty funny too.
I watched a weird show. I remember. I'm just like a show back in the day. It was called Get Backers. Did you
Oh,
ever
I've heard
see
of
it?
that one, but I've never seen it.
It was just like these guys and like it was like a weird like they got stuff back for you. That was the
Wow,
premise. It was really
I
good.
didn't think it was going to be so literal.
Like I have no idea. Get backers, and they had like magic powers, and they'd like fight the mob to like get back, you know, whatever, like some like rare jewel, like.
Jeez, too funny.
Yeah. You know what's a big one I'm missing that everyone tells me to watch, and I probably might start in quarantine, is Avatar. I've not done Avatar: The Last Airbender, which, okay, debatable, is it an anime or not? But
Well, yeah, because it's American, right?
yeah, but like, all right, good cartoon show.
Good cartoon show. I think because I watched the whole thing. I was made to watch it, but yeah, if I think if I had watched it when I was like a kid, I would have liked it.
Mm,
But as an adult, it was a lot harder for me to get behind because it does have a lot of like more childy themed things to it. There are some good story arcs in it. The villain has the best story arc of everybody in the entire
that's
uh,
pretty cool.
series, I think. But yeah, it's not going to go on my list of favorites, but I could definitely see if I watched it as a kid, I would have loved it for sure.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, it's some of it, especially some of the longer stuff. Like I feel like you're a kid, you have more abundance of time than you realize, so you can like be like, yeah, sure, like I'll watch 500 episodes of One Piece. Whereas now it's like I don't know when I'm gonna get to do that. That's why I find I've been switching more to the manga because I'm like I can read more of it and consume more of it faster, and like I'm like how much like anime can I efficiently like consume, and like so reading manga has been my way of doing more of it.
You'd be surprised. I used to actually hang out at this anime meetup, and some of those people, the amount of anime they watched, I was like, my lord, you do you get up and watch from the time you get up to the time you go to sleep? Because they knew everything. They knew everything that had been out ever in the history of anime, everything that had just come out. They were like on top of everything, and I was like, man, I thought I actually like had a pretty good knowledge of this stuff, but I don't know crap.
Yeah, I mean, I remember reading like Reddit posts about this, like how to watch anime faster and stuff, and it was like, mate, like on your commute, you can watch it on your phone. You like, in the staff room, you're like, get those hours in, and I was like, yo, true. Like, if I really wanted to take watching anime super seriously, I could, and I did for a
Wow.
little while. And I remember now, and that reminds me of another show I really liked, called Coffin Princess Chaika. It was by the same creator of Scrap Princess, and
Yeah, I
basically,
haven't heard of that.
so it's this like girl. She like walks around with this giant coffin, which then has like this weird sniper rifle in it. But it's like a fantasy world, so the sniper rifle works more like a magical wand thing, and it just goes on from there. It's really good.
Let's see. Randy says Yu Yu Hakusho was pretty good. Yes, it was. I did watch that one all the way through. I remember liking it a lot. Oddly, now I don't remember anything about it because it was so long ago. Like I probably
Mm.
watched it 10, 15 years ago. No, it's definitely more than 10 years ago. It's probably closer to like 15. But my memory is also really bad, so
It,
I forget things so quickly. It's horrible.
it's on my one to be rewatched because or I've seen bits of it, but I like Hunter x Hunter, and I've not seen all of Yu Yu Hakusho. And actually, I was sort of looking at Yu Yu Hakusho because the fourth book in my series is a tournament arc. Uh, and so I was sort of researching like what are stories that do, and that's kind of how I ended up doing my Naruto reread because I remember like the Chunin exams and all those fights being so cool. And so everywhere I went, everyone seemed to say that there's like a tournament arc in Yu Yu Hakusho, which is supposed to be like absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I think I vaguely remember it so long ago.
Mm. Um, yeah, Randy says he was a spirit detective. Yeah, I think he like dies in the first episode, or maybe he's like brought back to life, but now he can see ghosts. I don't know. Does he have like a cool gun ability? Like, does he like shoot a finger gun and then like a cool like magic blast appears? Is that him? Am I
I
making
do
it up?
not I do not even remember. I just remember his hair, which is a weird thing to remember from an anime.
Yeah, because like,
But
it's like combed back, and
yeah,
he's got like a green, like, I don't know, like either like Japanese school uniform or like thug outfit. Like I'm not really sure.
yeah, yeah. It definitely looks like the school uniform, and yeah. Just I remember there were some girls, and
I was actually thinking, probably like maybe arguably best anime live action. I'm not saying it's the best movie ever, but like Detective Pikachu, maybe.
I have not watched it yet. Yeah, I don't want to watch it, but I know I'm going to watch it because my boyfriend really wants to watch it. But I've heard it's great. Everybody I know that's seen it has said it's like really good.
Mm.
I don't know. It's just like the trailers of it. When I watched the trailer, I was like, this looks really bad. But I think that's kind of one of those don't judge a book by its cover things too.
That I had the exact opposite. I like saw the trailer and was like, this looks like the best thing ever. I think I was like overhyped, and I was like, oh, it's okay. It's like you see some cute Pokemon.
No, yeah, I don't know. That trailer just didn't sell me at all. Anything with I have a thing with like animated animals though. I think or any like characters like that. I just don't think technology is good enough for them to do them well enough that I can get immersed into it. It's kind of a jarring thing for me to see.
All right,
But
okay.
yeah, just a weird me thing. Just a weird me
You
thing.
just saw the cute Pikachu with his detective hat, and you were like, "You jarred me, Pikachu."
Yeah, pretty much. That was exactly it. I was like, no. Sorry, Pikachu.
Runout is saying, I don't watch any series that has more than 12 episodes per season. And I kind of feel like maybe that's where I'm getting to as well, where it's like, because that way you can experience a really cool story, and it's like only going to be 24 episodes, and then you try something else. And then like it allows room for, trying new things and stuff and experiencing.
Yeah. Yeah, and also, yeah, you don't feel like you're stuck into watching something forever, and you don't. I feel like you don't, because some like especially like Naruto is a prime example of this when they have like a lot of filler episodes, and to me the filler episodes kind of like repeated a lot of the same stuff.
Mm,
It's easy to just start kind of like tuning out and getting disinterested. Whereas
yeah.
if in 12 episodes, usually every single one has an important story arc. So
Yeah.
it's easier to stay engaged.
Runout got his mom to watch Log Horizon. That's pretty good. I don't think I could get my mom to watch Log Horizon. I think I did get my dad. I got my dad to watch Full Metal Alchemist when I was younger. Oh, and you know what? My mom did watch a bit of Samurai Champloo. And I think they've watched the Ghibli movies, so they're doing okay. The Log Horizon, I don't know.
I have to confess, I have not seen a single Ghibli movie.
Oh wow! Actually, I met another lit RPG author a few weeks ago who lives in England, Dan Prince, who writes Adventure Academy, other really fun series. He was like, I was like telling him like, yeah, you should watch My Neighbor Totoro, and he like wrote to me a few days later, and I watched this movie that it was shit. Why'd you recommend it to me?
Jeez. Actually, is Grave of the Fireflies Studio Ghibli? Do you know?
I think so. It definitely has I think they're definitely affiliated with it.
Actually, I kind of want to Google that because if it is, I have watched that. That's a really sad one.
Yeah, it says it was written and directed by a guy whose name I'm not going to say because I don't want to butcher it, and then animated by Studio Ghibli.
Okay, yeah, I have seen that one. That one is really sad.
That one looks too sad. I can't. Everyone tells me it's like beautiful and amazing, but I'm like, I don't know if I can handle it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm weird. I like watching the sad things and the super gory things, and
I need a little bit of both. I feel like that's why maybe I'm drawn to like Cowboy Bebop and Samurai Champloo because they're a little bit like, I don't know. I go back and forth. Like they're kind of like emotionally distant. Like they're characters who are like keeping a lot of stuff back and like repressed, and like I don't know. Sometimes that's easier to watch than like people who are like, Rock Lee is like, I've trained all my life, and now I'm not going to be a ninja because I'm like fighting this sand monster guy. And you're like, I can't, like, this is just too much. Like I can't handle that.
yeah.
That's
It
still
just
like my
keeps.
all-time favorite fight. Like, I feel like anyone who's seen it, talks about it with that same intensity when like Rock Lee takes off the weights from like his like legs and then like holds them out and then drops them and there's like the cloud of dust. That was the best.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of which Naruto fight was my favorite. There are so many good ones. There were so many good ones. Now I'm
Uh,
like now I'm gonna go back and rewatch it.
I
But
mean, all of the first season or like the first like 30 volumes of the manga is like really good. Like Rock Lee versus Gara. All the Naruto fights are like Naruto versus that like the dog guy because that's who he fights in the Chunin exam, and just like the
mhm.
solution of how he like Naruto transforms into being the dog to like confuse the dog guy, and it's like really jokes. And then like Naruto versus Neji is really cool. Uh,
Yeah,
and like I just like and then, like again and again it goes to that theme of like can I go from like being nothing and by like putting the time in and like boom will I be the best fighting against like I am like cold hard like insane talents and like that going head to head in these emotional battles just like it just does something in me and I love it. I just like watch it again and again.
yeah. No, I definitely feel like Naruto did. Naruto was very special in the way that they actually made you really invest in. I don't know. They just did it so well. Invest in the characters and invest in the, what they were actually like fighting for and what they were trying to do. And I just thought it was really good. So Run Out is saying the cartoon Harley Quinn is mind blowing. That's new, isn't it?
Oh, from Harley Quinn from like Suicide Squad.
Yeah, because I know you're not talking about like the old original Batman cartoons where she originally came out in. I'd heard that there was going to be like a cartoon of her, but I didn't know if it was out.
Oh, that sounds pretty cool. Um, I've not seen. I don't know. I know it came out in cinemas. I'm wondering if it's going to come out on video on demand soon, but I've still not seen it. Is Birds of Prey?
Not gonna lie, I had zero interest in watching it after watching. I hated Suicide Squad with a passion. I hated it so bad. Um,
I went in with really low expectations, and like I thought it was, I thought it was all right. Like I didn't, like I could see the issues, but I was like, hey, they're playing a lot of songs I like. They're moving it along. Like, all right.
you're like, gotta find the positive in this one.
Yeah, yeah. And I remember like having a lot of fun with my friends when we went. We were like laughing and So yeah, and I mean I heard Birds of Prey gets better reviews and I saw the trailer. I thought it looked pretty cool. Um but I guess for me it's like I love the MCU films. Like to me like every MCU movie, even if you don't like the not good ones are always like a B. No matter what, you're getting a B film and like some of them are A minuses, some of them are A plus. And they're always fun and I always have a good time. DC, I feel like are less reliable in that regard. I can't be like, oh, like what am I going to get in this DC movie? I really don't know.
Yeah, I'm definitely more Marvel than DC. Um,
Run Out says Birds of Prey was a letdown. Ah, it wasn't high on my list, but it was it was something.
Something to watch during quarantine. Something to
Something
watch.
to look forward to. We need these things.
Yeah, because it's easy to run out of things. So any suggestions are great suggestions at this point. But
Yeah, definitely. I feel like I'm running out of content. Like I feel like yeah, like I'm going into where I'm like, all right, I'll give this a try. I'll give this Tiger King a try. Everyone's telling
oh
me it's good.
yeah, Tiger King was another one that I saw the trailer. I was like, I am not watching this. I saw it
Mm.
when it first came out. I was like, I'm not going to watch this. I saw the trailer. I'm like, this looks absolutely horrible. But then I heard about it on Facebook so much, and I was like, you know what? We don't have anything else to watch. Let's give the first episode a try. And I was hooked within 15 minutes. I was like, oh no. And then I binge watched it in like 2 days.
Oh wow, okay. So because I've still not I've like fought the trends, but I guess I got to get into it. I did really like what was that one about like oh don't fuck with cats.
Don't fuck with cats.
That
That one
was
was good. I haven't seen that one yet.
what's Run Out saying I thought it was Suicide Squad 2. Oh my god, it dragged and when it was over I was happy. Yeah, that is not the kind of thing I want to hear if I'm going to watch a movie. So I'm probably going to give it a pass on that. Um, yeah, because like that
Yeah,
doesn't sound
my impression was that it was the Harley Quinn movie with Birds of Prey. It was like the opposite of what the title was, because you
good.
know in the trailer
Okay.
they're just like all like about her, but
Mm.
but DC does have very good animated stuff. Killing Joke is really good. I think there's one called Assault on Arkham. I'd have to look that up. I probably got
Mm.
the name wrong, but it's about Arkham, and it's what Suicide Squad should have been.
Oh,
Um,
interesting. I feel like DC, especially with some of their like Vertigo stuff, has like really, even though they maybe haven't as like dominated the movie sphere as Marvel has, I feel like when you go on to the comics level, like DC Vertigo is where Sandman is, where all the Alan Moore, like Watchmen, V for Vendetta stuff is. Like there's a lot of cool stuff they're publishing in like from where they started from in comics. So whereas like I don't hear that as much with the what Marvel's publishing these days. That said, I did pick up the first volume of All New X-Men, the omnibus edition that Bendis, Michael something Bendis wrote, and that was pretty good. I was really into that. So
so is that the one where Gambit and Rogue actually get married? Is that in there?
maybe I can't remember now. The opening thing is that it's like the original X-Men, which is like Cyclops, Jean Grey, the Beast, and like two other guys. The original ones. It's the X-Men. Like something has happened because like it all fits into like all the overarching arcs, right? So I just dove in, so I don't know it entirely like the lore, but it's like all the X-Men have like died, or like Cyclops is like turned evil and like killed Professor Xavier, and like there's all this crazy stuff, and then the Beast, he decides to go back in time, get the original X-Men, like young idealistic Cyclops and Jean Grey, and bring them to their future to try and, I don't know, bring people to their senses. But then, obviously you're doing time travel, stuff gets out of hand.
Yeah, it's interesting to me how comics can reinvent themselves over and over and over again. It's like they're like, this is the story, and then like I don't know, 5 years later they're like, we're gonna rewrite the entire story, and then 5 years later they're like, we're gonna rewrite the entire story.
Yeah, it's tough, and especially with like the all new X-Men, because I really like the first volume, but then when I bought the second volume, because they're not really being published to be read in these volumes, so then when you get volume two, you start to realize, oh man, like so some of this stuff, the story is also continuing in issues of another comic. So it's
Mhm.
like Uncanny X-Men and All New X-Men are running in parallel. So actually, I can't read it in these volumes like I would like Naruto manga. I need to be getting the issues. Uh,
Oh yeah,
you see what I mean? So I guess
yeah.
I guess like it actually could get really cool if you were buying them on that issue level, because then you could be like that's pretty cool actually. Maybe I'll start doing that. Because it definitely doesn't work as a volume where you start missing half the story and you're like, forget this.
Yeah, I used to read X-Men and Spider-Man comics when I was a kid. I probably stopped when I was about like 15, but
Mm.
the the last thing the last thing I picked up, I didn't read it all the way through, but the last thing I picked up was when Gambit and Rogue finally got married, which is funny because the last DC comic that I picked up was the one where Batman proposed to Catwoman. But
Whoa.
yeah, that was I mean, I could tell you how that ends, but
Uh,
but
I was all about
yeah,
that Batman 90s cartoon show. I remember that being really intense. That was like another like TV show that like taught me the ways of the world as a little kid, like watching in the morning and be like, oh my God.
yeah, Batman animated series was awesome. Loved that.
Mm.
And then of course, I watched Spider-Man and I watched X-Men when they had the original cartoon for X-Men, which was awesome. I haven't seen any of the newer ones that they did, but
Actually, really cool fun fact someone showed me. If you watch like so the 90s X-Men cartoon, it has a different theme song in Japan. So you can watch like the Japanese opening to it. It's like completely different and it's like really cool. And like this it's like mostly Japanese, but then there'll be like these moments of like English stuff will come up, and it'll be like "Howl at the Moon."
I think I've seen that actually.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool.
Now the theme song is gonna be stuck in my head, like for the rest of the night, probably.
I remember watching Batman Beyond as well, because that was like the sequel to the '90s one.
Yeah, I didn't watch that one.
I remember watching it. I can't remember it as well. I remember, yeah, because then there was also a sequel series to the '90s Spider-Man, which was like Spider-Man Unlimited or something. If that rings anyone. All good stuff though. So I'm not gonna lie, it's midnight for me now. So
oh yeah, I keep forgetting about our time difference.
And like I've had a really good time, chatting, but maybe we can wrap it up now.
I was supposed to have worked out an hour and a half ago, so
yeah. I mean, this was super fun. And it was really great chatting with everyone. Run Out, Jeremiah, Nate, Randy. Like, this was sick. My friend Angela popped up at one point. Angela, great that you were here. Actually, I think my mom said she wanted to watch this earlier on, so I was like, okay, well, like the Realm Between page. I don't think she would have stayed for like 2.5 hours of anime banter.
Yeah, this was a lot longer than we had intended, but it's because we were having fun. So.
Oh no, 100%. This was absolutely awesome. So I guess but before we sign out, I don't know, Phoenix, do you want to say stuff about Realm Between, Never Ending Dungeon? It's here. It's exciting.
Yeah, as you guys know, it's here. It's exciting.
Absolutely cool cover.
Yeah, it's a very long dungeon crawl. So if you like dungeon crawl and loot and a lot of bad shit happens to Azure, that's always fun. Right. as per usual, Azure has some for as high as he's been getting his luck up, it's not helping him too much. But that's all I've got. I'm writing book 7 right now. So Jacob, your series is still on sale. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so just Arcane Kingdom Online. Book 1 is called The Chosen. You can buy books 1, 2, 3, and 4 all for 99 cents. It's the Arcane Kingdom Online mega sale. So if you've not tried it, great way to try it. And book 5 is out as well. The Siege. It's stuff. It's we're working towards the it's going to be 7 books total, and so really the sort of final arc is beginning now, and stuff's really if stuff was already hot, it's this much hotter now.
Sounds intense.
And it's been great chatting with you guys. This has been sick. Definitely. Let's do it again soon.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching us.
Thanks for watching, everybody.
Yeah, we'll see you guys later.
All right. Cheers. Peace.